Welcome, crew, guys, gals, ghouls, and other worldly beings. Let's climb aboard the mothership, secure our tinfoil hats, buckle down tight, and hold on loosely as we soar over the rocky tops of the waters on Rocky Mountain High. Get sucked into the vortex of the Four Corners, and sit down snugly at mile marker 420 in Colorful, Colorado. I'm your ghostess with the mostest, TessaTNT, broadcasting live from the Mile High Clubhouse tonight. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, and welcome to We Are Paradox Mediums, lately in the Rockies. It is an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to have you hanging out with me on the airwaves tonight. If you want to listen in your free time, whether you're working in or working out, you can listen to me or find me on Spreaker.com under We Are Paradox Media, YouTube, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your broadcasts and podcasts, you can find me there. I'll be your little friend over there sitting in the corner being like, hey, how you doing today? You need a hug? I'll give you a hug. Oh. So, yeah, embarrassingly enough, I deleted last night's live show because, yeah, it was just not good quality, and I was going to upload it here on Spreaker Studio and wherever else you need to listen to this right now. The quality was just not good. It was bad. My internet sucks. I am going to make the leap to a different company. I'm going to put Century Stink in my rearview mirror, and I'm going to move ahead with another internet network, which will be much better. Really blame way better internet service. Fiber optic cable, none of this phone line BSery. When I was complaining all these freaking months, over a year, about my internet box, and Century Stink decided not to exchange my router that I was leasing because they said the bandwidth was just too high. Well, this one is brand new. I finally got a hold of an English-speaking woman who was like, hey, why don't you just cancel service and then restart and then just get a router that way. And so I did. I mean, it sounds dishonest, but the fact is they were the ones being dishonest, and this is the only way I could get an honest deal for my money. And it still sucks, and it could be my lines or something. I don't know. I'm still looking into that. I'm going to check that out starting tomorrow. Put it on my honey-do list for me. TessaTNT. I will get it done. Hey, I built a cube by hand. No instructions. Just from my own mind. That's how amazing I am. I'm just kidding. No, I did build a cube, and I am going to, I think, start a page separate from me. I'm going to make it something else. Anyways, I'm going to show the before and afters, the pictures of all the stuff that I've done around the property. Still a ton to do. There's just not enough time in the day. Speaking of enough time in the day, did you hear? Supposedly they're going to get rid of the whole daylight savings time thing. I'm just hoping that when they do, they restrict the time to and leave it on standard time, because that should be standard, and that would be the best time for our bodies as far as our circadian rhythms and things like that. Like, it's very important to have enough daylight in your day. Yeah, you shouldn't be getting up with the birds or before the birds even. Uh, in your early years, you know, you got to look out for your health and your sleep cycle and everything. And yeah, so hopefully they do it correctly here in the good old US of A. Yeah, people are jumping ship here. People are jumping ship. I ain't jumping ship. I'm keeping hold of what I got. I will own things and I will be happy in my own misery. Just kidding. All right, so before we get into story time, which we are reading Out There Screaming, an anthology of new black horror, edited by Jordan Peele. I love this guy. This guy cracks me up. I would love to meet him someday. But before we go there, let's get into our list of peeps. Peeps, you guys are amazing. Top 4 countries. So 7/5/26. It was number 1 USA, number 2 Australia, number 3 Mexico, number 4 Sweden. Thank you. Our most recent one that I received in my internet mailbox under we are paradoxmedia@gmail.com. Top 4 countries for this last week as far as uploads, because we can't do live anymore unless we're on the good old YouTube. Australia, number 1. Number 2, USA. Number 3, UK. And number 4, Israel. And I also like to do this as well. It's the top 20s. So for the week 7/13/2026, it was number 1, USA. Number 2, Australia. 3, Brazil. 4, India. 5, Canada. 6, Switzerland. 7, Burkina Faso. 8, Germany. 9, Honduras. 10, Martin S. Ooh, I don't know. There's a little typo there. 11, Russia. 12, Saudi Arabia. Emirates. 13, Argentina. 14, Congo Republic. 15, UK. 16, Israel. 17, Kyrgyzstan. And 18, Mexico. 19, Namibia. 20, Sweden. 21, Taiwan. 22, Venezuela. Our most recent top 20s list. This is a top 24 here. Notice how the numbers are getting bigger. I'm getting excited. The numbers getting bigger. Number 1, USA. Number 2, Australia. Number 3, Brazil. Number 4, India. Number 5, Switzerland. Number 6, Taiwan. Number 7, Venezuela. Number 8, Vietnam. Number 9, Canada. Well, that's a big jump there, Canada. What happened? Do we need to talk? 10, Germany. 11, United Arab Emirates. 12, Argentina. 13, Bolivia. 14, Congo Republic. 15, UK. And I've been, seeing that too. My UK is actually just holding strong, as I would expect my UK to do. Very nice, thank you. Extra tea and crumpets for you. 16, Israel. 17, Jordan. 18, Japan. 19, Kyrgyzstan. Kyrgyzstan, 20 Mexico, 21 Namibia, 22 Poland, 23 Sweden, and 24 Turkey, which I didn't even know this until recently in this, thanks to commercialism, but Turkey is actually old Greece or something like that. I don't know. And so, yeah, I really want to go there. I want to check it out. I want to explore Turkey. And I love how they spelt it. Like, we over here in the good old US of A, that, hey, rats are jumping shit. But, we spell it differently than this. And here it's spelled Turkiye, which to me is the correct spelling. And why change the spelling for where you're at, where you're from, where you're coming from? Ain't nobody got time for that. Alright, so since I've gotten through taking my vitamin G gratitude, my gratefulness for you, we're going to jump into story time right now. And as I had stated before, out there screaming an anthology of new horror, Black Hole, edited by Mr. Jordan Peele. Everyone, welcome Mr. Jordan Peele. Let's go. Thank you. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much for that. Wow. I really know how to make a girl feel special. Invasion of the Body Snatchers by Leslie Neka Arima. Used to be, you could tell an alien pregnancy from a human one with your naked eye. Back before they'd figured people out, back when post-hysterectomy rooms ballooned overnight, or an entire nursing home of geriatrics would be expecting, and everyone's like, expecting what exactly? Send in the troops. Your baby was born with a literal cow head. 14 stomachs? That doesn't seem right. Stop counting its hoofs, heaves, hoofuses, and call in the damn troops. They had no idea how our bodies worked. It was almost funny, but of course they learned. The woman looked so much like her file photo, it surprises me. No tired creases bracketing her mouth, no eyes shadowed by exhaustion. None of the tells of a lived life that cameras collude to hide. She is as lovely as her home. Aside from her very pregnant belly, she could step out of a photo and settle into the wingback chair she now occupies. There's nothing of the last 4 years on her. Even her hands are soft and neat. Unlikely, then, that Olivia Schultz has been roughing it off-grid. Are you sure I can't get you anything? She's all smiling solicitude. The arched doorway behind her makes for a charming frame. A few years ago, I might have bought it, but that bloom has withered. I've been punched, kicked, bitten. I have punched, bitten, kicked. 2 agents, armed to the molars now, accompany me on every intake. More if I ask, the optics of armed security dragging expectant mothers into agency vans aren't great, but after Miami, no one's complaining. Olivia Gladstone. When you disappeared, it was Olivia Schultz. Congratulations must be in order. She says thank you, gives the very fake ring a fretful twist before hiding her nerves. My husband will be coming home any moment now. Tell me about him. Name, genetic identification number. John Gladstone, A654390-778. I already know what result I'll get, but I plug the number into my tablet. We study each other while the machine trawls the database looking for A654390-778. It comes back flagged, faker than the ring. I flip it so she can see. There must be something wrong with the records. I cut the shit, Olivia. Either provide a real genetic number and verification paperwork, or the agency takes you in. The rules haven't changed since you ran off. 4 years. Your parents think you joined a cult. I press when her smile warps. 3 or 36 corpses in the Midwest matching your description, and we only know none of them are you because your mother and father went to identify all of them. The smile is back, her eyes steady. I want to shake her, maybe get in a bit of a biting and kicking. Time to change approach. Olivia, you do understand what's happening to you. You know there isn't really a baby in there, right? I don't have to tell you that you're in a lot of trouble. Come to the agency, do the blood test, and I'll get all the charges dropped. I'm not making the fines go away, but she can find that out later. You don't get to incubate an alien invasion without payback. You won't have to lift a finger. You won't be alone. Aren't you tired of doing all this alone? If that unwavering gaze hadn't blinked, she could have been a wax figurine. I laid her out, begging with my eyes for her to make this easy on both of us and just turn herself in. People may look the other way, but wrestling a pregnant woman into restraints is far from ideal. Olivia doesn't break, and after a 60-year minute, I start to speak, but something, a sound, a breath, brushes my ear, and every hair on my neck wants out. Dots begin to find one another, connect, party. Olivia Schultz has flown under the agency's radar for years. Dot. No person, security camera, or drone caught sight of her in all that time, until she shows up on a random store feed. Dot. Olivia Schultz, 2. Dot. Is a childbearing age now and had been back when she disappeared. Olivia Schultz is acting like someone who wants to be found. Dot. If she's incubating now, extremely reluctant. Dot. It's a bit of a leap, but I take it. Olivia, are we alone? Everything shuts off. Her smile, the light in her eyes, even her posture falters. Right. Okay. Olivia, I'm going to stand up. You're going to stand up with me. And then we're both going to back toward the door and we're going to leave. A faint, almost whine from the hallway behind her. I stand up, slow and easy. Olivia, she's crying now, soundless. Just come with me. It will be fine, I promise. She shakes her head, whispers. I keep backing to the front door. years of training holding steady. Never give them your back. I've seen too many photos of what happens when you do. Olivia, it can all be over right now, please. Stand up and walk toward me. 2 whines this time, one from Olivia, tortured with indecision, the other from, I scramble behind me for the doorknob. From the safety of the stoop I see Olivia, her post, turned rictus at the edges, and in the doorway behind her a small hand, sliding up the arc. There are no knuckles, no fingernails. Up, up, higher than any child with hands that size should be able to reach. I call in the troops. They got better at making us. For one, they now stick to women of childbearing age. The days of calling a herd of dudes who found themselves 7 months along after a guy's night out are gone. Even then, the incubation specimens were always a little off. Not cow's head off, but shit like not having any joints, starfishes, or having way too many. What the fucks? Lots of stillborns with molars in their knees and toenails where their eyes should be. Then, 2 years ago, at a Florida hospital, a newborn unfolds his jaw and eats half a nurse's face, and you think, it's Miami, it happens, until the video comes in. There's a still from the first clip that ends up as the unofficial agency screensaver. First, after the camera woman tells her exhausted wife to smile, just after she directs the nurse to hold the baby up so relatives scattered across the country can see what Tallahassee curls could do. Just when things turn, the cherub/gremlin dichotomy of a new child's face, interrupted by a peculiar assembly of too many teeth, mouth opening so wide that chin obscures belly button. The agency pulled everyone in, even the research ghouls who were excited, mind you, by this new development. The possibilities, they said, the things they could learn from the most evolved live alien specimen to date, blah blah. Every day there's something in the news about alternate dimensions and pipe dreams of building portals to get there, and all that's great, but when they find the one with time travel, I'm going back to that night and I'm going to throat chop every fool who insists on extravagance of a live capture. The NICU, the families eager to meet their newest members, the doctors checking their pagers, the nurses checking their patients. They're the ones who paid for it. "30 minutes after I call it in, the Schultz house is surrounded and the entire subdivision is evacuated. I'm debriefed until everyone who needs to know knows what I know. No one likes disjointed hands, journey up, up, up. And they really hate the last thing Olivia whispered when I begged her to leave. It won't let me. And soon, superfluous and everyone of rank eyes to make sure I know it. But I'm not going anywhere. If Olivia comes out of this alive, I'm her ride. Well, the intake ambulance is her ride, but I'm in charge of it. I wave to the medics, fix a cup at the coffee station, and park my ass in Central. They might want me out of the way, but they can't make me leave, so there. I let my husband know it's only him tonight, and he replies with a thumbs up emoji. Alien head emoji lets him know it's for real, not a last-minute girls' night or some me time. I nurse my coffee and eavesdrop. The breach or not to breach the house. Do they try to get Olivia Schultz out alive? The negotiator calls her, but it rings and rings. I want to give my input, but I've done such a great job of outskirting myself into invisibility. I don't want to remind anyone I'm still here. One of the ghouls advances research interests, but everyone ignores her rationale for capturing the mature specimen alive. No one's ever seen one this old. 4? That's ancient in specimen years. You're essentially cutting down the last red bull. This is the only chance we'll ever have. She tries to make fellow civilian eye contact with me as fucking if, and I'm into my tablet yielding a handful of messages from my husband and one from Teresa, reaming me for whatever I let slip that brought research to the scene. Deputy Director Teresa Hockeybird, rechristened Trigger Happy Bitch by the ghouls, has a whole save the people, shoot all the aliens vibe that I, as a people, can really get behind. When the single attempt to secure a live one ended with half a ward and body bags, the agency adopted a non-negotiable, how about we just shoot them policy. No reasonable person who'd been there or seen the aftermath objected. The final Miami report includes words like pulp. Logging on to the informant portal yields even more messages from the snitches. A moniker agents are discouraged from using, but one of the analysts called the program Snitchbook on launch day, and it stuck. Olivia's informant messages me how he knows I'm online. Snitch. I just saw it on the news. That's where she lives, right? When do I get paid? I don't say what I want to say and continue my winning streak of 5 months without a reprimand. Me. Once the intake paperwork is complete, funds will appear in the account you provided in 7 to 10 business days. Snitch. But I was right? She's breeding invaders. And already gave birth to one some years ago, yes, but I'm not giving this guy a chance to claim 1 cent over the standard $500. Don't get me wrong, informants and spotters are a necessary part of all this, but you read enough articles about people making twice your salary snitching, and, well, bitter isn't the word, but it's close. Me. If it's a confirmed invader, someone will reach out to you. It's the same fact script they all see on the website, which must be annoying, but no one can say I wasn't professional. I ignore the pending reply and put away my tablet when our phone, rings. The negotiator answers. It's Olivia. I can't hear what she's saying, but her voice is pitched at panic. The negotiator can't get a word in. Crookie. Olivia Schultz went off the grid 4 years ago. Her parents reported her missing, but she was an adult and she'd emptied her bank account. No significant suspects, and her friends thought she'd mentioned a trip. No foul play suspected. Obvious cult work. The so-called rebirth cults are what happens when people defect from Team People. You saw them last when it was all cowheads and feathered tongues, but after they started looking like us, people lost their minds. I swear there must be some genetic well of low self-esteem that makes humans look for something, anything to worship. Give us a glimpse of a more powerful, sentient entity, and some of us will offer up our wounds as incubators. These cults lure, brainwash, or kidnap women of childbearing age, though they could probably survive on volunteers. That Olivia is alone suggests a cult of one, and is probably why she has invaded us. No hive would abandon someone so close to delivering. The negotiator snaps his fingers for attention, looks around until he sees me. He holds out the phone, and it might as well be a spotlight. All eyes on me. She wants to talk to you. I put down my suddenly powerless coffee cup of invisibility and take the phone. Research Ghoul wants to tell me something so bad I can feel it radiating off her. To hear them talk, the many tissue samples, whole, entire corpses aren't enough. They want a live one. Olivia, I'm here. What do you need from me? I hope the negotiator is taking notes. There's no sound for a long moment, and then the only way I could describe it is foil. A voice as crumpled and metallic as wrinkling foil says my name. It says my name again when I can't answer, and then it keeps saying my name over and over as though it knows the script of how conversations are supposed to go, and will persist until I play my part. My voice sounds like I tried to swallow it. What does it want? It's the question everyone from evolutionary biologists to news pundits wants answered. What do the aliens want? We know the links they'll go to, parsing through a human genome over a decade to learn us, to become us. But why? A commotion by the front door draws everyone's attention. A half-dozen voices calling out some version of "Hold fire!" One of the voices is Olivia's. I spot her, hands up, belly leading the way. This is no longer a hostage situation. It won't let me, she said. Yet there Olivia is. Why? How? Then, a whisper of a sound. A whine? A cry? A laugh. It laughs. After Miami, shit got real. There's an unauthorized viral clip of what looks like a baby bounding down a hospital hallway on all fours, slinky like a cat. Back then, the agency had 50 employees and a budget that struggled to keep toilet paper in stock. Integrating the Army gave us access to real funding and CloudSoft triple ply. There's only about 350 core staff divided among intake, analysis, and research, but now we can immobilize just about any government entity to scrub what shouldn't be made public and shoot what needs shooting. I hyperventilate while intake medics flutter around me, offering oxygen, which I grasp down, the pills, which I swallow. The new guy takes it well, but Mateo has never seen me like this, frantic and babbling. It's the first time I'm caught by the curiosity that plagues research, where I want answers enough to consider letting one of those things live. Was it just messing with me, or is there a specific reason it said my name? If we need to ask it questions, the first of its kind that can speak, the ghoul says, what is the best way to capture it? Then I see Olivia on a gurney, blanket at her waist, still with the silent weeping while the new guy checks her pupils. She's been staring at me this whole time. It won't let me. Takes a few minutes, but Olivia and whatever Mateo gave me settled me down, and I'm back on team save the people and shoot all the aliens until they're dead. I begin a mental file for the report, condensing my panic into notes. It's hard to stay on task, imagining that thing looking at me, thinking about me, so I call it early and head home. With no objections, research doesn't count. They'll follow standing agency orders, firebomb the building, annihilate anything that tries to crawl out. When I wake up, it's afternoon and I have 17 missed calls. 15 of them are from Teresa. It takes a minute for alarm to work its way through my medicated calm, in which I remember getting home. Namdi helping me shower, tired hugs. Christ, I rub my eyes awake-ish. Teresa's incoming call and her not quite greeting bring me the rest of the way. Where the fuck is Olivia Schultz? What? Intake has her last night. Intake doesn't know where she is. There's no report. I was going to submit it in the morning. Just a half-assed write-up from the medics because they were waiting for you to sign off. Morning ended 2 hours ago. Where's my report and where's Olivia Schultz? Shit. I scrambled through the notes I jotted down before I crashed, looking for the coherent summation. I only dreamed of writing. Teresa hangs up. It's unspoken that the discussion will continue in person. I stop mid-skim, one word snatching at me, and I just know. Research. The ghouls have Olivia. One thing I'll give research, the only thing, mind you, is the identification test. After Miami, the ghouls took their very much unlive specimen and did what ghouls do. They stripped it down to its parts, then sliced, scraped, lasers, radiated, and centrifuged until they discovered a protein structure that simply couldn't exist in the human proteome. Their reverse engineered invasive protein analysis did a lot for the agency. We went from, and I quote, a bunch of assholes hassling babies to humanity's saviors. Said quotee was my mother. It was Thanksgiving. I don't want to get into it. Funding poured in. A couple of ghouls shared a Nobel Prize. The agency director made the rounds on every news show. Got a whole segment on 60 Minutes just for him. With a simple fetal blood sample run through a complicated mass spectrometer, you could know if your baby might eat you. Wow, golly. There's now one in every hospital and birthing center. We finally had a plan to stop the invasion. What those fawning newscasters didn't know was that Miami could have been over in half the time with a fraction of the deaths if we'd just taken the shot the minute we had that thing in our sights. If the director freshly promoted from the research track, even after seeing the mush that was once 2 women from Tallahassee, hadn't given a stand-down order when that thing escaped into the vents, it's contained. Research has proprietary equipment, and its heat signature will tell us exactly where it is and when it moves. Let's wait a minute and see what it does. Lies, all because he wanted to lure in a live one. So, yeah, fuck research. Teresa is the scary kind of quiet when I make it to her office. Mateo is leaving. I enter and he avoids eye contact. As expected, Teresa rakes me over the coals, flips me over, and roasts the other side until I'm done. I have no defense worth a damn, and if I did, I'd keep it to myself. I can't even hint at my suspicions. If I have a grudge against research, what Teresa has is a blood feud. She needs only the veneer of a reason to dismantle their facilities with her bare hands. She'd been up for the director position and turned it down to create analysis from the ground up. The methodology, the training, the core data sets, and that was all her. So she knows, to the number, how many lives she'd have saved in Miami had she been in charge. She's pretty much in charge now since the director fucked off into the limelight, but there's always a chance he'll take a break from being feted to pick up the phone and become a problem, and the agency needs Teresa. Whoever grabbed Olivia Schultz had this plan ready to go. Fake intake van, fake staff, everything checked out when the medics scanned their paperwork. That's not something that happens overnight. All they needed was for intake to make a mistake. And here comes you, our mistake. What were you thinking? Abandoning a scene like that? Did you just try to answer a rhetorical question? Do you think this is a conversation? and so on. The next time I see your mouth moving, there'd better be a solution coming out of it. Until then, fuck off. I'm not gonna lie, I cry a bit on the way to my office and a lot after I shut the door. The office is an organic organization of files and loose papers that an inconsiderate eye might call a mess. It's mostly publications and pamphlets about cults, some of which are so old or obscure they've never been digitized. We're encouraged to take on side projects at intake, and my side project is to transfer to analysis. I'm tired of hassling betas. I add a couple of pins to an electronic map, a task that soothes. I'm working on a theory about where the cults are likely to quarter themselves, but my data hasn't yielded any patterns relevant to rebirth cults. Soon, the rote mechanics of mapping tunes my thoughts. The only way to unfuck my career is to find Olivia Schultz. My hunch that research is behind Olivia's disappearance is strong, and I also want to be them enough that I can't trust my suspicions. The cults are also nimble and wily, and this isn't beyond them. What to do? Return to the scene? Question everyone who was there that night? My tablet pings. An internal message from an analyst friend, loyal or stupid enough to still be sending me their charts. Eckert. Want to see something cool? I appreciate that they aren't treating me like a leper, still I have to offer an out. Me. You sure you want to do that? It'll show up on an audit. Is that a yes? Call me after you look at this. It's a layered chart showing a progression of every recorded incubation from all over the world. I scroll through an image-only version, and it's like flipping through a notebook where someone has drawn one frame of a cartoon on each page. The changes were subtle, but 150 frames in, my neck hairs start doing that thing. There's a difference between the abstract knowledge that the invaders are learning us and seeing the slow, persistent improvements. There are just under 1,000 images. Whatever they want from us, they want it bad. I toggle on the map of incubation locations and layer my cult map over it. Nada. I read through the notes on minute anatomical changes until my eyes tire. It's late and I hear agents leaving and returning. No doubt a sign to clean up my mess, but I can feel the edge of the euphoric state the analysts talk about, where your mind is at its most plastic. I switched to analysis cult data set, and it's nothing like mine. They've created layouts of every cult compound we've rated, and it takes only a couple to see the pattern. There are only so many ways any group can organize a living space. But there's something off about the rebirth cult layout that scrapes my nerves until I notice that it puts the most vulnerable, the incubators, at the entrance to the compound. Their caretakers spread out behind them like the groves of desperate fingernails dragging through dirt. The office lights dim with inactivity. A solid hour passes without another human sound, so I isolate the rebirth layout onto a transparent layer. I flip it over, flip it back. I pull the agency building plans to calibrate a neutral baseline. I layer it over the intake floor plan, over analysis. Then I layer the rebirth layout over research. Well, shit. After Miami, after the director left on his world tour, Teresa siloed research. They got their own facilities compound and a mean budget. Every cent they received needed accounting, and Deputy Director Teresa H.B. needed to sign off on any research. Every hoop in the known world needed jumping for research to get data from the other departments, and every bit of their findings belonged to us. Was Teresa a little stingier than she had to be? Maybe, but they would have to earn back every benefit of her doubt. Research must have felt isolated and persecuted, vainglorious advocates for a mission the rest of us couldn't see. We couldn't have handmade a better gift for our cult. A screenshot, the rebirth, research overlay, the scan employee photos, until I locate yesterday's ghoul. I email the image and a note. Rachel, we need to talk. The rebirth layout shows fully an aerial view, but I sense the tendril of buildings snaking behind the large glass construction that welcomes all visitors. If the layout bears true, Olivia Schultz is in this building. A regular rebirth compound might have 8 incubators, a dozen at most, in a facility this large, cajillions. I don't do guns. Seems less a principled stand and more an antiquated one when faced with the possibility of a swarm of live ones eating their way up to my body. I bring 2 tasers, the illegal one, Nandi, bought when I started running again on the standard issue. They will buy me time. I try my husband once, but get his voicemail. I love you, jackass. Don't wait up. Rachel swipes me into the building. The cults have printed me for doorways festooned with umbilical cords, dried, hard, and bloody palm prints on the walls, but the pace is as sterile as a state-of-the-art research facility should be. We pass an open office where a voice calls out, "Did the goon bring a gun?" And Rachel shouts back that she didn't think so. This is where I get nervous. It's the casual way they talk around me, the audacity of calling me goon. Goon! To my face without a flustered apology at the inside joke getting out. Like I don't scale as a person. She walks me to her office and leans on the desk, arms crossed. A large window of smart glass flanks her, the adjacent lab rendered blank. It's midnight and the building should feel empty, but it doesn't. Before whatever's about to pops off, I want answers. Where's Olivia Schultz? Rachel taps a module and the glass window switches. Olivia kneels on a half-reclined hospital bed, thighs spread. She's turned around, forearms resting at the head. She is nude and pasty with sweat. When she sees me, she waves. It won't let me. I am a fool. Intake intercepted before we could get to her, but it worked out, Rachel says. Intercepted and fumbled. I am a damn fool. And if we'd taken her in, you wouldn't have. But if we had, she remained silent. She already answered the question. Why me? Why did that thing call my name? You weren't going to let Mateo dose you if you weren't freaked out, so we freaked you out. Mateo. Fucking Mateo. Rachel laughs. She isn't obsequious, sniveling ghoul she had been outside the Schultz house. Yes, he's ours too. We own a share of intake. I sit. I need all of me to think. Olivia growls through a contraction and Rachel shuts off the two-way like she's trying to keep me out. Analysis? Too much data to fall into rebirth research hands. Every single strategy at humanity's disposal. Soon, we both watch the absurd pantomime of Olivia tinsing and moaning on mute. Why do this? Why help them? Them? Rachel's disappointment is genuine. You still don't understand. I'm trying, but a buzzing interferes. I think past the sound. Incremental improvements from each specimen to the next until Miami, a specimen that looked like a human being until it didn't. We killed every invading specimen after that, whatever it took. A task made easier by a machine in every hospital, every birthing center, a mandatory blood test implemented world over, a famed agency director for the research track preaching its necessity. At first, I think I'm hyperventilating, but the breaths come from an open door to the lab where Rachel checks on Olivia. She returns with a stethoscope and nudges my shirt away from my belly. She settles cool metal onto my abdomen and listens. I understand, and I want to die. When? I whisper. Think about it. She whispers back. She offers one kindness before she steps out. While you still remember who you are, make peace with what's happening. It makes everything easy. As if I'd even take advice from a ghoul. While I still remember who I am, I palm Nambi's stun gun. I take it to the doorway as Olivia grabs the top of the bed and grunts, strains, squeals. They kept trying until they got us right, but they didn't stop there. We've obliterated every specimen for the past 2 years. I think through molasses, past buzzing, think, analyze. It won't let me. Nothing to analyze. We have no anatomical data. We have no idea what changes, what improvements they've made since Miami. Bounding forward on all fours. We have no idea what they are preparing for. And like a warning bell, whose source I've just discovered, the sudden epiphany returns me to myself. They're preparing for something the human body won't survive. The Other One by Violet Allen. I smoke a cigarette on the roof and look up into the starless sky. It's past midnight, but I begin to fear sleep, particularly the dark space between waking and dreaming. I've gotten spooky since Oglethorpe left, rediscovered a child's fear of death. In bed at night, when it's cool and quiet and soft and warm, I can feel the gravity of the void, the gentle tug of inevitability, and startle awake whenever I feel myself drifting. It's atavistic, almost a reflex. That thoughtless, senseless darkness is like staring into a map of undiscovered country, and it's frightening to realize that night by night, I learn by heart the shape of that territory a little more. If I can somehow conquer sleep, could I conquer death as well? Not that I could live forever exactly, but that I could conquer the thing called death that ruins living, the word and its associations, the sight, sound, and taste of nullity. Perhaps then I could be entirely fearless and unsentimental. But whatever. A pair of flies are fucking by the edge of the roof. I suppose they could be fighting or exchanging some platonic touch, but I prefer to imagine they are fucking. I wonder how much of a fly's life is spent in fuck time. What is it to spend a few hours fucking when you only live for a month? I send a text message to Oglethorpe. What would it feel like to do nothing but fuck for a whole year? What would I feel like to fuck until you die? And he doesn't reply. He still hasn't blocked me despite everything. I smoke the cigarette down to the filter. There are only a few left in the pack. I stole them from the nightstand in his bedroom, his new bedroom, in his new apartment. He quit cigarettes 2 months ago, quit me 3 weeks ago. But you can resist an occasional indulgence. So it's good we're together now, me and these cigarettes. Even as I smoke them away one by one, they become part of me, and I become part of them. The tar and ash and buzz and the gestalt phenomenon of mutated cells in my lungs mirroring the lipstick stains on the discarded butts. It's obvious, but has made me into a pack of cigarettes, and I will be a pack of cigarettes forever now. Sheds of folklore, my mother's a fish, and the poet. Saxum iam cora tinabat, arak, dururant, signumque exangua, sedabat. What the fuck am I even talking about? Grad school is bad for the brain. My phone buzzes, my breathing accelerates. He texted me back. At first, my heart feels so weightless that it might escape the gravity of my soul, and then heavy again with realization, inevitability. He's not going to take you back, you dumb bitch. He's just texting to tell you to leave him alone. If I were smart and mature, I would just ignore it. Ignore him. Ignore everything. If I were smart and mature, which I am not. So I look. LOL. Why are you texting my boyfriend? What? What? It's been only a few weeks. How could he be with someone else already? Is she the one who used to murmur about? What the fuck? Who are you? Who are you? Are you dating Oglethorpe? Are you Angela? Just put down the phone and go to bed. I should just put down the phone and go to bed. Nothing good is going to come of this. Yeah, who are you? LOL. Meet me at this place. Bring money. What? What? Answer me. I sit there for a second, dumbfounded, then I find myself stupidly, automatically walking back into my building, walking down the stairs, out the door, across the street, and on and on. This is stupid, I think, and don't walk there alone, at least take the bus, I think, but I have too many thoughts to sort out right now, and paying attention to any one thought, however wise it might be, is impossible. This is so pathetic. What's even so great about him? Oglethorpe is a stupid name. It's stupid, and you can't even make it into a good nickname. Ogley, Trash, Thorpe. That's not anything. So you have to say the whole ugly word every time. Oglethorpe, Oglethorpe, Oglethorpe. Honey on the tongue, poison in the ears. You know, when we first met. I made fun of his name. And I wasn't joking, but I guess he thought I was flirting, and one thing led to another. Isn't that some fucking bullshit? My phone buzzes. I look. She sent me a picture of a heart. A real heart. Bloody and fleshy. Sitting on his coffee table. It really looks real. So much so that I drop my phone when I see it. Fuck! Pick the phone up. When I've gathered myself, it still works, but now a long crack winds across the screen, bisecting the image of the heart. What the fuck? Did you Photoshop that? Are you crazy? LOL. You're one to talk. I'm not crazy, I'm not. Have I had some mental health struggles? Sure, who hasn't, but I'm not fucking crazy. I'm not sending bitches pictures of hearts in the middle of the night. I'm not treating the whole thing like some big fucking joke. What the fuck is wrong with you? I thought you might want to see his heart, the one I stole, LOL. Jesus. I should go home. This is fucking crazy. This is some country shit. Confronting the woman who stole your man in the middle of the night? This is some shit my sisters would do, not me. I'm the good one. I was always the good one. Never got in trouble, left the country, went to college, then grad school, and now I'm working on a PhD. Angela the Angel. Not the cleverest insult, but it hurt my feelings when I was a kid, so I guess it was good enough. If someone stole Bernice's boyfriend, she would not hesitate to throw hands. When I was in high school, I had to talk her out of physically fighting the boys wwho hurt my feelings. And Bria, I can't even imagine what Bria would do. kind of thing where everyone involved ends up in a hospital or prison. I love them, I do, but they don't know how to control themselves, don't know how to act decent when things go bad. I take a turn. Usually I like walking in the city, but tonight it feels less like I'm exploring and more like I'm solving a labyrinth. I know where his apartment is already. I know it by heart. Sometimes I go by there just in case we might cross paths. Leave it up to fate. It'd be pathetic if I were waiting for him or seeking him out, but if I happened to go by his apartment on my way to the train or the library or the coffee shop I like, and if I happen to see him, that's just fate. If he didn't want to see me around the neighborhood, he should have moved farther away. I know. I know I'm not coming off as the hero of this story. This is, at the very best, loser behavior, if not actual creep behavior, but I just want him to see him. It was all so sudden how things ended, just completely out of nowhere. You'd be weird about this shit too if it happened to you. My phone buzzes again. A video this time. The same part on the table, but now it's beating. Slowly, subtly, but undeniably. Thump, thump, thump. A little bubble of blood spilling out each time. You thought the picture was fake, so here's proof. LOL. I stop. I stop. I stop, and I watch the video again and again. It's disgusting. It can't be real, can it? A real heart? Oglethorpe's heart? It must be some kind of trick. But it feels real. It doesn't make logical sense, but the feeling of it, the way it follows everything else, it feels real. Is he okay? Of course not. Dumb. Hearts are supposed to go on the inside. That's like the number one thing about hearts. Did you kill him? No, he'll live. Come hang out with us. Bring money. Fuck this, actually. This is fucking insane. Whatever's going on, I don't want to be a part of it. I'll call Oglethorpe in the morning, maybe go by his place, just wait till the sun's out and people are out and the world fucking makes sense. This shit is how people get murdered. They get lured somewhere by some sketchy weirdo and are never seen again. That video's fake too. It's not like it's hard to fake a video. She's trying to get in my head, make my imagination run away with me. I turn and start to walk back home. Liz. What are you doing? I said to come hang out. I'm going home. You're just fucking with me. I said to come hang out. Nothing for a few minutes, then another buzz, another picture. 2 pictures. First, Oglethorpe sitting alone on his bed, staring blankly at the camera. There's some dark spot on his chest, but it's hard to make out in dim lighting. Second, a close-up on the spot revealing that it's a hole, a big, bloody hole around his heart, or where his heart should be. There's something else. Little spots all over him. Ants. You know how hard it is to keep out ants? Once you see one, it's over. What the fuck? The fuck? What are you? A ghost? A witch? An experiment gone wrong? A monster? Who can say? What are you? This is crazy. Is it crazier than when you went to the mental ward, or is it less crazy? Can you rate it on a scale of 0 to kill yourself? How'd you know about that? Did he tell you? Maybe, or maybe I just know. Maybe you're just very obvious. Self-hating intellectual type. Not exactly rare, it's funny though. Most people, if they told someone about this, people would just say they were dreaming, but if you ever tell anyone about this, they'll send you back into the cuckoo clock. I could call 911 right now and tell them how my boyfriend's ex has been stalking us, hanging around outside and now sending crazy texts. How many days would they keep you inside? How long until the clock chimes and they finally let you out? You know, what do you want? Come hang out and don't forget the money. I don't say anything for a long time, but then finally I write back. Okay. I turned back towards Oglethorpe's place. This is why I didn't do anything when this all started. When Oglethorpe first started acting weird. It started so simply, but at the time it felt like the worst thing that could ever happen to me. One night in bed, he leaned over and whispered, "I don't love you." Just like that. Like it was just words, just sounds, meaningless and useless and without consequence. I was crushed because I had never known a love like this before, and I was shocked because I had thought we were as happy as two could be. He said, "Sorry," and I said, "Please," and "Please," and "Please." And he held me as I cried. He fell asleep eventually, still holding on, but I stayed awake, if only to prolong our time together, now suddenly precious, and now wishing to confront the dawn's particulars and practicalities without him. But then, when he woke up, he asked me why I was crying and why I held him so tightly and why I looked at him like that. "You know why," I said, but he did not. He told me I'd been dreaming. He laughed at me. I did not question it. Instead, I laughed with him. Of course. Of course, of course. A nightmare, obviously. It had felt so real, but of course it could not have been true. Of course he loved me. The day came and went peacefully, but the night again, he whispered that he did not love me anymore, and worse, that he loved someone else. I pinched myself, literally, I pinched myself, and I dug my nails into my wrist as hard as I could, and I held my eyes open so wide, so long, that I began to feel pain, and still, not trusting that I was awake, I asked him, "Is this a dream?" He said no, empty and listless, like he was describing the weather on a gray day. He stayed up again, this time to see if things would be good again in the morning, and they were. He gave me a kiss when he woke, and he went about his day like normal. Had I been dreaming after all? Bloody crescents on my wrist said otherwise. Maybe he was sleepwalking, sleep-talking, sleep-something. He'd never done anything like that before, but people often never do things right before they always do them. I decided not to talk about it with him. You have to understand, I have a condition. I have a condition with an ugly name. One of the symptoms of this ugly condition is that I am afraid profoundly that I will be abandoned. The doctor says this fear is irrational, even though I have been abandoned before. I knew that Oglethorpe would think I was being irrational and silly and ugly, untrusting, jealous, clingy. The sorts of traits that would make him actually fall out of love with me. And so the next night, and the next night, and the next, he told me again that he didn't love me. He never elaborated, never described the why of it, just the bare fact over and over. Sometimes he would mention loving her, but he never explained, even when I asked. I began to search for malice in his tongue, any hint of meanness or cruelty. This all might make sense if he was angry at me, submerging some grievance in his subconscious that could not help but spill out in the dark, but no. He was calm and easy, and if his words had not been so harsh, he might have even called him tender, so I tried to ignore it. I knew he didn't mean it. It was just something glitching in his brain. I know that sounds bad, but you have to understand, he was so nice in the daytime, so understanding and so funny and handsome and cool. He was the perfect boyfriend in the light. Perfect. But then one morning, he asked me why I hadn't loved yet, and that was it. I didn't tell anyone because I knew no one would believe me. It's exactly the kind of clingy bullshit that gets me in trouble. This stuff now, the heart and the ants, not really my style. I've never had hallucinations or delusions, but once you crack the seal on being a crazy person, people don't really make a distinction. Angela the Angel is as psycho as her sisters, just in a boogie way. My phone buzzes when I turn on to Oglethorpe's block. Before I read the message, I notice a sticky red fluid clinging to the screen, dripping from the crack. I drop my phone again, and the crack splinters out in all directions, and the red liquid starts to seep up from new fissures, too. Breathe. Just breathe. This is weird, but it'll be over soon, right? I pick up my phone and look at the messages. Buy me some brandy and cigarettes. Some bitch stole my last pack of cigarettes. You. There's a liquor store across the street. I get her what she wants. The door to Oglethorpe's building is unlocked. I go inside. I keep my breath as long and slow as I can as I walk up the stairs. It's going to be okay. This is weird, but there's got to be some kind of explanation. I'm going to be okay. This is real. I'm not crazy. Everything's going to be okay. Buzz. I put my hand in my purse, but the moment I touch my phone, I feel a sharp sting. I pull my hand back to see my index finger covered in blood, with a long gash running from the tip down to the second knuckle. The phone continues to buzz, and I try again, more gentle this time. The crack is opened up, but inside the crack isn't electronics and circuit boards. It's a mouth. A wet and bloody mouth. It snaps, and I drop it back in my purse just in time to avoid another bite getting taken out of me. Somehow the screen is still working, still glowing in the dark, and I look down at it, snapping in my purse. Leave the stuff outside the door and go. Go home. I'm done with you now. I leave the liquor and the cigarettes by the door like she says, but I don't leave. I can't just leave. Fuck that. Not after all this. I go a little bit down the hall and behind a corner and kneel down and watch. The door opens a crack and a long, spindly arm reaches out, and another and another. 5, 6, 7 arms reaching out into the darkness. Finally, one touches the bag, and all the arms seize upon it like a wild animal dragging away a carcass. The bag disappears, and the door creaks closed. I walk up to the door. Oglethorpe's in there. I have to help him. I have to save him. I go to knock, but I pull my hand back at the last second and try the knob. It turns, and the door opens into darkness. I step inside, and it closes on its own behind me. It's dark. Too dark. Outside, there are street lamps and neon, but here the darkness is innumerable, seemingly infinite. Oglethorpe? Are you here? It's me. Nothing. I've been here before, but it's different trying to navigate in the dark, like remembering a dream. I stumble around, knocking into things and banging my knee and stubbing my toe. I see something in the corner of my eye, something moving, something on the wall, suddenly opening and closing. Keep walking, and I see it again on another wall, more clearly this time. A small eye blinking, and a creaky, curdled voice whispers, "Go away." More eyes appear on the walls and the ceiling all around me. I guess I'm getting close. "Oglethorpe?" I shout. "He doesn't love you," the voice says. Can't tell where it's coming from, but it's close. "I love him. That's all that matters." No response. I reach the door at the end of the hallway, his bedroom. I take a deep breath and turn the knob. Oglethorpe is sitting on the bed, staring straight ahead. In his lap he holds the bundle of arms. I don't see any kind of body, just arms tangled like a ball of snakes. "Leave us alone." I look at my purse. I put my hand inside again. The phone, or whatever it is now, bites me, but this time I don't flinch. I just pull it out and look at it. "Go home," it says, the broken glass imitating lips. "You're the one who made me come here. What's wrong? I thought you wanted to hang out. And now I want you to leave." I placed my phone on the ground and began rifling through my purse. My sisters bought me a gift when I left the country. The city's not safe, they said. You need to be able to defend yourself, they said. I ignored them, but I kept the gift. A knife. Sturdy, expensive, sharp. I find it at the bottom of the little pocket I never use. "Don't hurt me," says the monster. "What the fuck?" I scream, pointing the knife right at the arms. What do you want from me? You've been torturing me all night and now you just want me to leave? I want to see what you look like, the monster says after a long pause. He still talks about you. And then what? When I actually came, you got scared? It doesn't say anything, but I know the answer is yes. And suddenly I see. Untrusting, jealous, clingy. This thing, whatever it is just like me. Everything about me that is wrong, putrid, and disgusting. Just a bunch of grasping hands. Take. So I do it a favor. I use the knife. Oglethorpe just sits there placid as I rescue him. Kill the monster, save the prince. Maybe I'm the hero of the story after all. I'll show you who's crazy, I whisper. When I cut until there's nothing left to cut, I drop the knife and throw my arms around him. I'd feel the ants on him and now on me, but I don't care. I just hold on. He doesn't respond to my touch. I look over at the dresser. Heart lies there gently throbbing. I walk over, pick it up. It's disgusting. If I put it in his chest, everything will be back to normal, right? He'll love me again, and we'll live together again, and everything will be good, right? Like in a fairy tale? But he seems okay without it. Not great, but okay. I mean, he's alive. He can definitely live without it, and it strikes me. If I have his heart, then he has to love me, right? No matter what. It doesn't make sense, but it makes as much sense as anything else. It worked for the monster. I look at Oglethorpe's eyes. They look blank, almost dead. I look at the heart covered in blood and wriggling with each beat. I know what I should do. I do. I should just be decent. Control myself and be decent. That's all you have to do. Just this once. Do the right thing. I can do it, can't I? Can't I? For dinner, I make Oglethorpe his favorite curry chicken with roasted potatoes. He smiles at me so wide when I bring it out to him. My heart just absolutely melts. Thank you, sweetheart, he says. I love you. I love you too, I say. He's been doing so much better since the creature left. After I saved us, everything went back to normal like I wanted. He doesn't really remember what happened, which I think is for the best. She was sucking his life energy away, making him weak and empty. He's getting stronger every day now. I love you too, he says. I know, I say, and I love you. I love you too, he says. Sometimes he gets stuck in the loop a little bit. You just have to wait for it to pass. I slam my hand on the table. Goddamn ants! They really get everywhere, just everywhere. I've tried everything to get rid of them, but there's always so many ants. I fucking hate you, Angela, he says. I shake my head, smiling gently. He gets confused sometimes. No, you love me. He stares at me for a moment, then nods, slowly understanding. All right, yeah. I love you. I love you too, I say, looking out the window at the darkening sky, savoring an indescribable lightness in my chest. Our love will never die, and so I conquered death itself. Forever. Lazarin by Aaron E. Adams. When I try to wrap my lips around a story I'm not supposed to tell, it sours on my tongue. The only way to sweeten it? Name some truths before the lie. I am my mother's first child, true. I have 2 younger sisters, Lovely and Marie, true. We live on an island, mostly true. Every piece of land, no matter how large, is eventually surrounded by water on all sides. This language is the lie. Everything arranges itself in my mother tongue first and then shifts into the one I'm using now, English. I've nearly forgotten all of my first language, Haitian Creole. I remember the songs. The melodies stayed because I memorized them long before I learned their meanings. Lazarin Labeline. The sound of the sea was my first lullaby. Chapom, Dom, Nam Lam. My father's fishing songs were my second. Ma'a, Fakars, Pau, Lazarin. Soon my mother learned that the musical phrases he mumbled were the only way to get me to sleep. Chapom, Dom, Nam Lam. When my middle sister Marie was born, my mother said I sang his songs to calm her when she fussed. Ma Fakars, Pau, Lalai came the tune as well. It was all we had left of our father. We were the only ones he sang for. His songs reminded him of when he could spend days on the ocean without being tethered to the shore. In the end, the water didn't take him. A land-dwelling woman 2 villages over did that. He left my mother with 3 girls singing his songs. My mother never cried for my father. She poured herself into taking care of us, feeding us, teaching us, cleaning up after us. I know she played with us too, but I can't remember how. No matter what games I conjure in my mind, I can't find her in them. To me, she was too grown up for that, but she was never too old to tell us stories. My mother loved to weave truths into a tale. Her voice would drop low and quiet to make us lean in close. Never trust a woman alone in the water. She would raise her pointer finger in warning. She will have dark skin like ours and straight hair like theirs. Us and them, those born on this island and those who crowned it the jewel of an empire. If she calls to you, run before she can speak. If you are fool enough to hear, you must do as she says. She always grabbed my hand at this part. Listen, or she'll snatch you and leave a shell in your place. The story goes on, but I always covered Lovely's ears after that part. She got too caught up in stories, especially if she'd heard them before, and would have nightmares for weeks. We'd heard enough to know the truth in the tale. Tragedy can strike without reason and leave no meaning in its wake. If you see a woman alone in the water, run before you hear her, but listen if she speaks. The story made sense to me then because I still had patience for childhood logic. An excuse to bend the rules. A riddle. Lovely and Marie thrived on riddles. They would twist my words to stay up reading past bedtime. They'd logic away hours in the day. Needed to do homework a lot more time to combing the beach for shells. When they returned home, they'd beg me to string the rainbow holes into necklaces for them. I'd make the jewelry with a smile. I was too old to play like them, but I did play, it's true. The necklaces, also true, but that I made them without complaint every time? There's the lie. One day Lovely came home, soaking wet, holding one dark abalone shell in each hand instead of my sister. We listened, she cried to her mother. On our way home, after collecting shells, we saw a lady alone in the water. She called to us just like you said. She told us to give her one or she'd take all 3. We listened. We gave her 1 shell, but she took Marie. Lovely's face burned with tears and a harsh lesson. Grown-up riddles usually aren't very clever and rarely end well. What was meant by one, a shell or a child? My mother and I didn't pry into this woman's words because no matter their meaning, she took what my sisters were not willing to give. We looked for Marie, but as the days wore on, we couldn't find her and she didn't return. The woman in the water became the lie. We told ourselves instead of the truth. Someone had taken my sister, no matter how long or hard we looked, Marie was gone. After that, my mother called me only by my full name, Wide Line. Our house became a list of laws, unbendable. No going out after dark, no storytelling, no straying from our duties. School, home, and church. I longed for the one place I knew we'd never be allowed to return to, the ocean. I was forever tethered to the shore. My sister's fate was unknown to me, but sometimes I foolishly imagined it was better than my own. Sometimes I missed the selfishness of being a teenager. I kept the shells Lovely brought home instead of my sister. They started to gather dust after the first month. After the second, I'd wipe them clean as one of my daily chores. On the first day of the 12th month, one fell and shattered. I moved the shell that was left to the center of my dresser. At the start of the second year, the wood warped around it, making a cradle. I never rattled or slid or fell, it just lived there. Tap, tap, tap. 3 years to the day Marie disappeared, I woke to the sound I barely recognized. Tap, tap. The shell was rocking in the moonlight. Tap. Glimmers glanced around my room, but they could not penetrate the shadow that now stood in the corner. If I had been younger, I would have screamed. Instead, I was more concerned about how close the shadow stood to Lovely. My eyes focused, and I stared it down, intent on making it melt away. Its arm reached for the foot of Lovely's bed. I sprang out of mine and pulled Lovely from her covers. She started to fuss at me for waking her, but I softly put my hand over her mouth and shifted her eyes to the thing in the corner. The moment she saw it, she gripped me tight. The shadow took a step toward us, and I pushed Lovely behind me. "Leave," I whispered, not wanting to wake my mother. The shadow moved toward us again. I drew breath to scream. "No!" The shadow thrust its hand into the moonlight between us. A dark rainbow washed over everything. Lovely let my hand go as we both marveled at the colors. The shadow's skin was dark, like ours, but its blackness was deep. It stepped fully into the moonlight. Webbed toes appeared first, then long dark legs. Taut muscles rolled under the skin. Kelp wrapped around the little figure like a dress. Long, straight red hair, slick and wet, hung around its shoulders. The shadow's face is what silenced Lovely and me. We recognized it. It had grown longer, but the nose, lips, and heart-shaped visage were unmistakable. "Marie?" Lovely's voice trembled with excitement. She peeked out from behind me, but I held her back. I'd finally seen the shadow's eyes. They were entirely black, and when it blinked, it did so with 2 lids. "She came back!" Lovely stepped out again. "Shh!" I wrapped my arm around her waist. "That is not Marie." "Yes, it is." Of course, even in the presence of danger, my younger sister couldn't help but argue with me. "She told us to give her one, or she'd take all 3. The thing spoke, and it sounded like Marie. "I remember." I couldn't be her. "Who are you?" I asked. "I am." The figure's mouth slid into a sad smile. "I am not Marie yet." "What?" I frowned so hard, my brow ached. The thing claiming not to be my sister annoyed me like she would. "I will be her soon." "Oh, and now?" I sucked my teeth. "Now you are not Marie." Her jaw clenched as she considered the name. "Yes, that's a good name for me." Not Marie's smell faded. The scent of Not Marie filled the room. She smelled like the ocean. Not a rotten fishy smell. Not Marie smelled like freedom. I put myself back in front of Lovely. "How did you get here?" Not Marie stepped toward us. I watched Not Marie try to find the words. No, she knew them, but something about them hurt. "Let me show you," she whispered. Lovely's nails dug into my arm as she gripped me with her whole body. Between her weight and my sweat, her nightdress was going to leave folded wrinkles in my skin. We followed Not Marie out of our house and down the road toward the ocean. Soon the road became a trail. Fine sand mixed between the rocks, and the way forward thinned. In the dark, Not Marie lit the way. A dull blue glow came from the once invisible markings on her flesh. Adornments complemented the shape of her muscles. Dots heightened her cheekbones. Her eyes stayed black. I shortened my steps forward. Lovely trailed behind me like shadow. Right before the trail gave way to the beach, Not Marie turned sharply and started down a thin path I'd never seen before. Watching Not Marie as she moved, I spotted a familiar strangeness in her body. Puberty. Womanhood had arrived in me, achy, raw, and earthy. I hunched my back as my breasts grew and strained my clothing. Not Marie stood tall and let womanhood drape itself over her with grace. I tried to walk like she did, and it made my muscles ache. This creature reminded me not just of my sister, but of how my body had become a strange new vessel that housed my consciousness. I shook with effort and fear as we followed her. No, that's a lie. The truth is, envy burned away any terror in me, and curiosity pulled me forward. Where are we going? I asked. Not Marie pressed deeper into the brush. We are close. Balancing one foot directly in front of the other, we followed her through the trees. Soon we reached a cave. Not Marie glanced back at us and then disappeared into the black. A dark, hollow chamber loomed in front of us. I took the first step ahead. My feet found cool stones. I smelled the dark deep of the grotto before I saw it. Once we passed the entrance, we found that the cave wasn't devoid of light. A hole at the top revealed a full moon. Silver rays reflected in the water. Unlike the pale blue of the ocean, these waters were so dark they were almost black. Shelves of rock carved out each layer, all the way to the bottom. Without a moment's hesitation, Not Marie leapt in. After our eyes adjusted, Lovely and I approached the lip of the sinkhole. Not Marie wasn't like a fish in water. She was the water itself. The iridescent scales on her skin made her look like a trick of the light. She dove deep. I found myself counting my breaths. 1. Her thin feet skillfully cut through the slow, thick currents. 2. She dipped farther down. I could barely make her out now. 3. Her red hair was the only easy bit of her to spot. 4. In the water it seemed to glow like long embers. 5. She barely left a ripple in her wake as she propelled deeper. 6. She reached a depth of the grotto that couldn't be pierced by moonlight. 7. Her glow was all that was visible. 8. If you didn't know any better, you would think she was a bit of a reef. 9. Or kelp. 10. Waving with the current. 11. She dove even farther down. 12. Tiny bit of ember in the endless deep. 13. 14. 15. 16. She touched the bottom of the grotto. 17. Her ember hair illuminated her face. 18. 19. 20. Not Marie stared up at the two of us on land, and I understood. Depth, time, air, all that didn't matter to her. I stopped counting. With a few sharp, swift kicks, Not Marie propelled her way back up. She emerged at a speed that made Lovely and me lurch back. Slipping past the surface without a sound, she didn't even make a splash when she re-emerged. What are you? I asked. La Sarine. Lovely laughed in delight. The sound scattered over the stones of the grotto. Before I could stop her, Lovely sat on a thin ledge and dipped her feet in. Not Marie rested herself against the rocky shore. Yes. As the answer flowed out of her, she relaxed. Someone finally said what she was unable to utter before. A riddle without words, solved by Lovely. Not Marie raised an eyebrow in premature victory. She would need to do more to prove herself to me. You were a few steps away for 3 years. I crouched next to Lovely, putting myself in between her and Not Marie. Yes, Witty, she said, my nickname, like the Americans who built a well in our village after the earthquake. Her Creole sat in front of her mouth. Why? Her face contorted like before. She told us to give her one, or she'd take all 3. I didn't know I was haggling years, not shells. I'm done tomorrow. I won't be like this anymore, and I wanted you to know. I frowned. Who took you? La Serene was the lie. I knew that, but I added up all the truths in front of me, and if a sea creature was to blame, something was missing. Who? I asked again. If this was another riddle, I needed to be the one to find the truth in it. Lovely always got swept away in the story. Not Marie looked from me to Lovely and back, her mouth opened and then clamped shut. She tried another way. She wants... Her whole body convulsed so hard that for a moment, out of concern, I reached for her. I stopped when I reminded myself that she was not my sister. She took me and... Not Marie grabbed a hold of the edge of the grotto to support herself. Her eyes welled with black tears. I can't tell you everything. A trail of ink fell down her face. It wasn't that she didn't want to tell, it was that she couldn't. Her tears stained the water, while her wet face should have calmed me. It enraged me instead. "Where's Marie?" My voice rattled in the cave. The harsh tone made Lovely cover her ears. "It's me. I was—" Not Marie's body convulsed again. "It hurts. Woody, please." My eyes burned as I blinked back my tears. Man still cries every night. She thinks we can't hear her, but... My words started to get thick from a sob. "He said you'd show us. Where is Marie?" Not Marie reminded me of the nightmares Lovely had. She reminded me of my mother's unanswered prayers. The longer I looked at her, the more my heart ached. Not in sadness, but in rage. "Give her back!" "Stop it!" Lovely whined as she curled in on herself. "It's me!" The pitch of Not Marie's voice careened up like a bird. Her whistle tones pierced through me. With the word "me," Not Marie's face contorted. The sides of her lips parted through her cheeks and back to her ears to reveal row after row of needle teeth. The wetness of her mouth made them glisten. The second lid of her eyes flipped over, turned her black eyes foggy gray. Any familiarity I had found with my lost sister vanished. My heart pounded in my ears. The truth of our situation hit me. My sister and I were in a cave with a monster. We listened to it. We allowed it to lure us with a story. We told ourselves to make the pain of losing our sibling less. I sobbed. Snot ran from my nose and over my pursed lips. Both Lovely and I were about to pay the price for believing the lie. Not Marie lunged against the edge of the grotto. "Marie, stop!" Lovely crunched her little body against the ledge. Not Marie didn't listen. Her strong limbs easily propelled her out of the water and onto the land between us. I reached back to gain ground, only to feel my hand latch around a stone the size of my palm. I craned back, ready to smash the stone into her face, but even with the teeth, the eyes, the scales, even though she'd agreed with her new name, Not Marie, still reminded me of my sister. Against all reason, I shut my eyes to stop myself from bargaining. Marie, Not Marie, Marie, Not Marie. No matter what I was about to consume, or be consumed by, either the monster in front of me or the pain within me. I launched my hand forward. The stone twirled off my fingers. I opened my eyes in time to see it sail past Not Marie's head. She barely flinched. I braced myself. Dunk! The sound of stone hitting flesh stopped us. We both turned just in time to see Lovely reach for the rock, where the rock hit her forehead. Before her fingers could explore the new wound, her eyes rolled back and she tipped over the edge into the water. Unconscious, she plummeted toward the bottom. Not Marie froze. I jumped in after my sister. The moment I did, my feet were met by a sharp ledge of rocks. I had pressed through the pain and dove. It had been 3 years since I'd been in the water, and I nearly wept with joy as salt water bled into my clothes. My legs pumped with memory. I reached out for Lovely with every stroke. Launching myself forward, I found a bit of grace and snagged Lovely by the edge of her nightdress. Looking past Lovely, the grotto seemed to sink on forever. Just below Lovely's feet, faint tendrils of moonlight ended, and the deep dark began. Looking up, I saw the surface was impossibly far away. Not Marie's dark face peered down at us from the surface. She watched us, but made no move to dive in or to help. My lungs burned, my heart throbbed in effort. Propelling myself up took twice as much effort as diving down, but my need to survive out of spite pushed me forward. I clawed my way up with my sister clutched in my grip. When I burst to the surface, I inhaled water and air. My body coughed and gagged, but I used each movement to pull Lovely up onto the shore. A wide, red wound bled from Lovely's forehead. Through the blood I saw flesh of white bone. She wasn't moving. She wasn't breathing. I'd seen the fisherman get water out of a man's lungs before, but I'd never done it myself. I pressed on Lovely's chest hard with both hands. Then I pinched her nose, placed my mouth over hers, and breathed into her lungs. I felt her chest expand. When I looked back at her face, she looked pale. I breathed for her again, nothing. Panicked, I tapped her cheeks, like I could wake her from a nightmare. A deep splash drew my focus. Not Marie's ember hair rippled in the water as she dove. This time, when she reached the bottom, the red disappeared. Alone, I kept trying to revive Lovely. Press and breathe. Press and breathe. Each time she got colder in my arms. Alone. I didn't stop. I couldn't. I was not going to lose another sister. As I tried to keep her with me, the sounds of my efforts echoed in the empty grotto. Every second, I fought against becoming what our mother warned us about, a woman alone in the water. I was so focused I didn't even notice when Not Marie returned and called me. Wide line? Leave us alone. My words caught in my throat. In the water, behind Not Marie, was a woman. She had long, straight, translucent hair and black eyes. Unlike Not Marie, she didn't even pretend to be human anymore. She smelled like deep waves, the kind you see only when you lose sight of land, where you are small and infinite all at once. She slithered through the water toward us. I grabbed Lovely. She told us to give her one or she'd take all three. I began to pry the riddle open. The woman hadn't wanted one thing we gave her, the shell. Instead, she'd taken what she truly desired, Marie. All three? My heart pounded as it struggled to keep up with my mind. This was no happy reunion. Not Marie wasn't watching us in the water. She was watching the creature behind her. The burn of betrayal stilled me. Like grown-up riddle, it wasn't clever and it didn't end well. Lovely had assumed the woman was asking for their shells. Not Marie thought she meant years. The woman meant us, the three of us. The woman couldn't grab Lovely and Marie on her own, but with time and training, Not Marie was all she needed to get the three of us where she wanted us. She can help, Lovely. Not Marie lied. It sounded like the truth in her mouth because the poor thing believed it. The genuine joy in her smile told me she hadn't yet put together all she'd done. Lovely felt cold and heavy in my arms. Terrified, but with no other choice, I let the woman approach. She pressed her ear to Lovely's chest. The woman's cold hair splayed over both of us. The strands looked like tendrils of moonlight fading into the black of her skin. My breath slowed as I thought. She had us in the depths, and she didn't take us then. Not three, the woman whispered. She waited, though, so that she could bargain. Another opportunity to trap us. 5. Her Creole sounded burrowed, like she was remembering phrases she knew long ago. I wondered if she ever played children's games before she was a creature who played tricks on unsuspecting souls, pulled in by her words. You promised to be fair. Not Marie's voice sank into her chest. The woman held her unblinking stare on Not Marie. She pressed her hand to Lovely's wrist. I saved the child. I'll take at least 6, she croaked. 600. My stomach dropped. People are years, I demanded. 5 years. Not Marie choked out as she tried to haggle. Years? You mean years? Her eyes widened and her breath caught as she gleaned the truth. She'd been allowed to visit us, all allowed to bring us here. The women never meant to let her go. To being like that, people in time were just another currency. 700. The woman refused to clarify. She was immovable. Not Marie's back curled in the shy way Marie's would when she met someone new. Her hands shook the way Marie's would when she couldn't decide between sweets. Not Marie ran through a strange set of human movements, utterly childlike one second and a fearsome creature the next. With each one she lingered in the human postures for as long as she could, but they made the muscles in her monstrous body ache. Not Marie longed for land the way I did the sea. She told us to give her one or she'd take all three. The answer was in the ache. Suddenly my palms felt clammy and slick. It was only then that I realized that I had reached out and taken the woman's hand. I'll give, I latched on to her slippery palm, so you don't have to take. If you save Lovely, I'll give you me. I didn't need to splice out time or terms because the answer was devastatingly simple. If I gave her one, if I gave her me, there was no need for her to take anything at all. Her eyes met mine. We have a deal. The words groaned out of her like an afterthought. She took a free hand and hovered it over Lovely's chest. Lovely's body arched toward her palm. Then the woman raised her hand up to Lovely's extended throat and flicked her fingers past her mouth. The water in Lovely's lungs flowed out. Violently full of life, Lovely began to cough. Then the woman wrapped a cold hand around my arm and snatched me below the surface. I counted as we descended. 1, 2. Coming morning light hit the grotto. 3, 4, 5. It revealed the truth. 6, 7, 8, 9. Not Marie's scales began to fade. 10. Her fingers and toes separated. 11. Her darkened hair curled and coiled on her head. 12. Though her face had lengthened, she was unmistakably Marie. My sister. 13. 14. With daybreak, her time was done and mine begun. From here, I'm only able to cough out a few bitter truths and some better lies. Marie returned after 3 years away with no memory of where she'd been. Kidnappers must have taken her, poor girl. Her memory folded over to protect her from the unspeakable. After a year, my mother finally let her leave the house again, but only to go to school and back. Sometimes she dreamed of strange fish and foreign shores. When Marie reached her first year of high school, the nuns discovered that she spoke perfect English, Spanish, and Italian. Fear made my mother weave a lie about my disappearance. She imagined that I'd run away with some boy, bound for an early pregnancy in the capital. When she felt brave, she whispered stories about the sea to herself as she cooked. True, Lovely always had a scar on her head and a gap in her memory. True. Marie only ever remembered from the sunrise onward. True. I never missed my home because the memory was all I needed. That's the lie. For years, every full moon, my sisters snuck out to collect abalone shells from the beach. They walked to the grotto nearby. There, they held each other's hands and dropped the shells into the water. They leaned over the edge and watched the dark rainbow holes sink into the depths. They were always careful not to get too close to the surface or dip too far over the edge. Dangerous truth or sweet lie, the water in that cave was much deeper than it looked. It could suck them in and spit out a tail. Still, they watched and waited, and if they were patient enough, every time, right before the shells drifted beyond the reach of the moonlight, there'd be a ripple in the darkness before they disappeared. The Rider. Tanarib Du. May 1961. The silver-haired window clerk at the Tallahassee Greyhound station glared at Patricia Houston, where she had her sister Priscilla, pivoted to walk toward the shiny wooden benches in the Whites' only waiting area. They ignored the red sign pointing out colored as bright as a bloodstain, their matching skirts twirling in concert. They weren't twins, but might as well be. Pat was younger by birthday, but far older by temperament. We came from 2 different directions and saw the same new road, and they were on their way to join the Freedom Riders in Montgomery. We both thought up the idea that same morning. Here they were, already members of the Congress of Racial Equality, already veterans of sit-ins and the bland food and thin cots at the Tallahassee jail. They'd been on a publicity tour with their mother, been featured guests at parties hosted by Eleanor Roosevelt and Harry Belafonte, and the Freedom Riders promised to gain even more attention for the movement. Pat folded her Tallahassee Democrat under her for extra cushion on the segregated wooden bench, bracing for shouts, but the station stretched empty except for the clerk and the Negro custodian, and neither of them said a word. The mousy clerk's glare suggested unspoken curses, but she kept her mouth shut. She would leave enforcing Jim Crow for the next shift, apparently. She sure looks like she's itching to come do something about it, Priscilla said. If she does, she'll be wishing she hadn't. Pat lowered her sunglasses to stare at her sister in the face. Priscilla's own cat-eyed frames were for fashion, but Pat wore hers, even indoors, because her eyes were much more sensitive to light, ever since that hick cop threw a tear gas canister in her face last year. I want you, he'd said, face red with malice. She hadn't been able to see for hours, and her eyes had burned for a week solid. It's a non-violent protest we're going to, Pat said. Remember? You see where non-violence got you? After all their training with CORE and the example from Reverend on how to fall limp with strict instructions not to fight back, Priscilla should know better, but Pat didn't describe what Gandhi's philosophy of nonviolence like the Reverend, but she believed in the tactic. They had come too far to become a liability. Priscilla, you just remember. Pat cut herself short when a shadow appeared on the floor beside them. They both looked up to see the Negro custodian approaching with his long-handled broom, a bookish young man with round glasses and a smooth, pleasant face. Y'all with the Freedom Riders coming from New York? The man asked. We're meeting them in Montgomery, Priscilla said, although Pat would not have given so much information to a stranger, no matter his color. How did he know so much about civil rights planning anyway? For all they knew, the man might rush off to the sheriff's office to inform on them in exchange for a meager reward. The man was about 26, only 5 or 6 years older than they were, but paternal concern mocked his jaw. You ladies are taking a bus alone? Might it be safer to drive? Montgomery's only a few hours by car. You gonna drive us, handsome? Priscilla said, shining her bright white teeth at him. Pat gave her sister a look. Really? But the man didn't return her sister's smile. You are the Houston sisters, right? I know y'all. Look, Pat, we're famous. More like infamous, Pat murmured. He glanced toward the clerk, who was still glaring in their direction. I'm with you on what you're doing. I'm trying to make things better, he said voicefully. But those white folk in Montgomery are crazy, knee-deep and clammed round those parcels. I got a cousin there, and he says word's out the Freedom Riders are coming, and there's lookouts for Freedom Riders all up and down the roads. I wouldn't get tangled up in that mess, unless I wanted to get my head cracked wide open. He looked directly at Pat, intuiting that she might be the more reasonable of the two. Some scars don't go away. The memory of tear gas made Pat blink with doubt. She hoped it wasn't visible behind her sunglasses. We're not afraid of those hoodlums, Priscilla said. When God and justice on our side, we don't need anything else. Strangers surveyed their faces with the consternation Pat recognized from Negroes who didn't understand the movement or were too scared to see that they'd have to fight for every inch. Warnings like these were usually just excuses about why they didn't march or ride too. Well, if you want to make it to the bus, you need to go sit in the colored waiting room. Only reason Miss Mary hasn't spoken about y'all sitting here is deputies coming at 7 o'clock. Pat looked up at the station's wall clock. It was 10 minutes to 7. They had planned to leave on the first bus of the day, so they had arrived early. We'll wait outside then, Pat said. The stranger shook his head, watching Priscilla stroll across the terminal without a care. She walked as if anyone who saw her was having their lucky day. She sparkled so much that their brother, Walter, called her Sapphire. Hope y'all don't get yourselves killed, he said. Me and you both, Pat thought. No one was waiting at the railroad outside. The bus at Lane 3 marked Montgomery hissed to life with a belch of smoke from its tailpipe as the driver inside put down his thermos and turned on the engine. The metallic behemoth shivered in its parking spot. The slogan painted on the side, "It's such a comfort to take the bus," made Pat chuckle. Then she coughed. Even a whisper of smoke made her eyes and throat sting after the tear gas. Dr. Bess had said she might feel the effects of it for the rest of her life. 2 wiry deputies arrived just like the custodian said and gave them a stink eye as they climbed out of their car, even though Pat and Priscilla hadn't had time to make protest signs. Yes, those deputies knew who they were. She and Priscilla always wore nice dresses to demonstrations, and the men wore suits and ties, but all white folks saw was black skin. Maybe that was all most of them would ever see. One deputy moved toward them suddenly, startling Pat before he jogged past her with the scent of chewing tobacco. He knocked on the bus door, which squealed as it opened. The deputy climbed the steep bus steps to talk directly into the driver's ear, and Pat didn't miss the way the driver put his eyes towards her and Priscilla. Would he refuse to drive them? But after the deputy climbed out again, throwing a mirthless smile Pat's way, the driver called out, "All aboard for Montgomery." He set it into the air itself, not looking towards his only 2 passengers. He took their tickets without a word. His cap and white shirt seemed a bit small on him, confining the bulk of a middle-aged man who might have once been an athlete. Inside, the bus stretched in twin rows of empty brown seats. Priscilla started to slide into the white-only seating in the 3rd row, but Pat tapped her shoulder and nodded for her to keep walking to the back of the bus. Deputies were watching through the window for the first chance to put hands on them, and it was too soon. "Not now," Pat told her sister with her eyes. "Not yet." Priscilla stiffened, but she walked on, her head held high. Pat followed, and they both began humming the tune to Old Black Joe, which they had rewritten as a protest song at the Tallahassee jail. Gone are the days when tradition had its say. Now is the time for the South to immigrate. We will march on to a better land we know, for the Constitution tells us so. March on, march on. The bus driver wouldn't hear the defiance in the old-timey melody they hummed. Black Joe her ass, but music lifted Pat and made her feel like a part of something bigger. In Montgomery, they would not be alone in the struggle. They just had to make it there. By custom, Pat took the window seat. She had been a carefree college student before poor, but now she felt like a soldier surveying everything around her. Instead of mobs, she spotted only office buildings, shops, and early morning drivers. The cracked open window helped save her from bus's odor of cigarettes and sweat, plus the hint of urine near the bathroom. Maybe Priscilla couldn't smell it, but Pat could. As the bus rolled out of the station, Pat took her sister's hand. Fatigue rocked her with the bus's motion. She'd been so excited about the last-minute trip that she barely slept 2 or 3 hours. She'd hastily thrown a few clothes into the powder-blue suitcase she'd nestled in the bin above her. "Bet you'll be the first one asleep," Priscilla said. "You always are, and you snore." "You always say that, and you're dead wrong every time." Priscilla fell asleep first, her head lolling against Pat's shoulder, her breath escaping in faint whistles. Pat was smiling to herself only moments before she felt her own head bobbing, and soon she was resting her cheek against Priscilla's warm scalp, drowsy. It might be safe to sleep as long as no other passengers were on board who might rob or menace them. But as the bus stopped at the red light on Monroe, where morning traffic was just waking, Pat sat straight with a thought as certain as any she'd ever had. Something will go badly wrong on this trip. She gasped so loudly that Priscilla stirred, although she didn't wake. Bad memories toying with her, maybe. She'd been tear-gassed on Monroe, still humming with a tune to Old Black Joe. Pat thought her name was Panic and joined her sister in sleep. Pat woke to a feeling of being shaken, and she started with the memory of a burly policeman grabbing her arm to pull her off of her stool at the Woolworths. But it was only Priscilla. "Pat, where are we?" By the brightness of the sun, it might be 8 o'clock. They'd seen on the road about an hour. The bus's emptiness was more apparent in the shadows that sheltered her eyes. Pat gazed out the windows. The bus was nearly too big for the narrow 2-lane road. Half dirt and half asphalt, the tires ground over bumps and gashes that made the Greyhound's underbelly squeak. The air was noticeably muggier, like breathing in warm water. Shoulder-high marsh grasses raced by. Beyond them, craggy mangroves looked like hanging trees. "Isn't this bloody 27? Pat said. Everyone called State Road 27 Bloody 27 because it fed on crashed cars. The state was building and improved the highway Interstate 10, but there was nothing modern about this road. Priscilla peered more closely at her map. "I don't think..." The road sign appeared, a placard of wood nailed to a pole with a careful script that was proud despite its simplicity. Route 6. Priscilla mouthed the name as she read the sign, trying to figure it on her map. A second sign followed in identical script. Reclamation Swamp. Priscilla shook her head. "Oh, hell no! This isn't the route." "Sir!" Pat called to the bus driver, half rising from her seat. Instead of answering, the driver increased his speed. Pat almost lost her balance. "I'm going to go talk to him," Pat said. "Is he drunk? This is ridiculous. This damn fool drove us into the swamp." Pat grabbed the luggage bar above her to fully rise. Ahead, a man stood in the middle of the road. The figure looked indistinct from a distance, as if he might be a hitchhiker, but Pat was certain he wasn't. He was planted firmly between the 2 lanes. He swayed ever so slightly. His clothes were dark, loose-fitting pants and a coat with its hood up. His head was bent prayer-like, his hands folded in front of him, paying no attention to a bus hurtling toward him, only 50 yards away. 40 yards. "Watch out!" Pat started, just as the tire scream drowned out her voice. The buses half skidded, and Pat's breath caught as she remembered Daddy Marion's stories from driving a school bus, how he had to leave himself plenty of room to stop. Pat fell back into her seat, bumping against Priscilla, and watched as the rear end skidded a couple of feet too close to a muddy ditch before the bus lurched to a stop. The bus was no more than a few yards from the man, who apparently had not moved. Only the top of his dark hood was visible now. The bus was so close to him. "Thank you, Jesus," Priscilla whispered. They both leaned over to stare through the window at the grassy ravine that would have turned the bus over like a gator's death roll. The driver did not look back at them to see if they were okay. Like the man on the road, the driver did not move for an unnatural amount of time. The bus idled, the engine buried with uneven huffs. The army of mosquitoes outside found the open windows and began feasting on the sisters, but Pat was too flustered to swat them away. She, Priscilla, and the mosquitoes were the only things moving in the world gone still. Pat did not share Priscilla's vocal love for church, but she believed in God. Some version of him anyway, and she was moved to say amen. She felt she needed to say much more. She should have begged for protection before the bus began its journey. He could have killed us all, Pat said, trying to get a response from the silent driver. Sometimes a shared experience could make white people forget about color, at least for a time. Freedom riders weren't his biggest problem anymore, unless the hooded coat. It wasn't a white clan robe, but what if this man hadn't appeared by happenstance? What if the driver had taken them on this lonely route on purpose? She remembered the deputy who'd climbed aboard and whispered in the driver's ear, practically smirking at her as he left the bus. Pat's tongue and cheeks went dry, as if to answer Pat's alarm. An alarmed thoughts, the driver turned to face them, laying his arm casually across the back of his seat. That new highway, it cut straight through Reclamation Swamp. Good folks lived out here, Negro and white alike. They didn't need any laws but their own. They made their own peace, their own justice. You face your own judgment in Reclamation Swamp. Priscilla swatted a mosquito on her arm. What the devil is he talking about? Pat didn't know, but she didn't like any of it. His stare was wrong, first off. His eyes didn't blink, and his voice, a man's voice, yes, but as gravelly as the road, with the quality of a radio signal phasing in and out. Pat leaned over to whisper to her sister the way the deputy had whispered to the driver. This isn't right, she said. Grab a hold of your bag. We can use the emergency. The front door to the bus whined open as the driver yanked on the lever. When Pat looked at the windshield again, the man wasn't blocking the road anymore. He was at the bus door. Pat smelled him before she saw him. He reeked like a walking bog. His first step into the bus was so heavy that the bus shook with more weight than she would have guessed from his size. He was easily 6.5 feet tall, but willow, not solid. Still, his second step shook the bus too. Pat fought a cough that filled her throat. She'd had a sensitivity to scent since the tear gas, and she was on the verge of vomiting from the smell. The closer he got, the more his stink cloaked the bus. The bathroom's mild odor was a blessing by comparison. For the first time, Pat was glad to be in the colored section. The rider took a seat in the first row opposite the driver, but when he'd walked into the aisle, hadn't she seen a glimpse of brown beneath that hood? Whatever his face had looked like, he had not appeared to be white. Still, she was relieved he did not sit in the back of the bus near them. That figures, Priscilla murmured. You'd think he'd let a Negro get on smell like that? And after he nearly made us crash, I swear, what's wrong with people? I don't think he's human, she almost said inexplicably. White. Priscilla's smile returned, their scare forgotten, and he blocked the road like that. I felt that tactic. Pretty gutsy, eh? He must be a freedom rider, too. Let's go up with him. He's not one of us, Pat said. Why'd the driver let him on? He doesn't have a ticket. Priscilla's smile vanished. Together, the sisters stared. The man's clothing looked rough, like burlap stitched together with yarn, so stiff that it might be vines. Pat had seen nothing like that, but his clothes were only the first thing wrong with this new rider. Looked wrong, smelled wrong, all of him was wrong. The driver, too. He'd barely moved since he stopped, except for his bizarre speech and opening the bus door when he shouldn't have. "Sir?" Pat called to the driver. "You gonna keep driving anytime soon, sir?" Pat had learned that she could ask white people pointed questions rather than with "sir" and "ma'am." The driver's shoulders hunched as if she'd interrupted a nap. He reached for the door lever and pulled it shut with a hiss and whoomp as it closed. The bus driver's wide-open eyes stared back at Pat in his oversized rearview mirror. "You'll see them in a minute, little missy," the driver said, with that same unnatural voice. "Justice comes in time like all things." "What did he just call you?" Priscilla whispered amused. "Now I've heard it all." "I'll see who in a minute, sir," Pat called back to the driver. She felt her heart pounding in the pads of her fingers as she clung to the seat in front of her. The bus lurched forward and straightened in its lane, picking up speed fast. The driver never stopped staring at her in the mirror, saucer eyes fixed on her. "Look," Pat said. "He's not even watching the road." Pat scooted over to stand up, with Priscilla right behind her. "Hey," Priscilla said, pushing past Pat to move toward the driver. She took only 2 steps before the bus's motion threw her off balance, making her brace herself. "Stop this bus!" Pat was grabbing her suitcase, noting with alarm that the bus might already be going 30 or 40 miles an hour. If they could get him to slow just a bit, they could jump off from the emergency exit. The bus wouldn't need to be going all that slowly if it meant getting out. "Make it stop!" The driver suddenly screamed. "Please, I'm sorry. Leave me alone. I believe in the blood of the Lamb. I just did what they said. Route 6, they said." To Pat, this outburst sounded like random phrases in a string, but his voice had changed back to his own. The person who had speechified and called her Little Missy was gone, even if this version of him sounded like a lunatic. The driver was suddenly so red-faced that his neck flamed. The bus driver howled a sound like none she had heard from any person's lips. Part from empathy, part from surprise, she and Priscilla yelled too. The bus swerved wildly as the driver bent over the wheel, bucking in his seat. "He's having a seizure," Sue said. "Or a heart attack." That would explain it. He was delirious. Explanation to help her breathe away her dread. The bus finally was slowing the way she'd wanted, but Pat dropped her suitcase and ran the wrong way toward the driver. She wanted to help him somehow, even though he wouldn't have lifted a finger for us if he had watched us set on fire. That last thought felt more like an invasion than inspiration, as if it had come from outside of her, but Pat could only concern herself with fighting for balance while the bus swerved. She and Priscilla steadied themselves, seat by seat, to move toward him. "Sir? Try to keep calm," Pat said, reaching for his burly shoulder where his sweat-drenched shirt clung to him like skin. "Stop the bus, hear?" He didn't hear. Pat was alarmed anew to see his foot still pressed to the accelerator as the wheel wobbled beneath the heaving of his belly. She strained to grab the steering wheel over his seat back, her hands gripping it so tightly that her nails dug into the heels of her palms with bright pain. The driver's movements obstructed her view through the windshield, but she tried to correct the bus's path, which was straying toward the ditch on the opposite side of the road. Her wild overcorrection made Priscilla scream behind her as Pat lost her balance. Her face slammed into the driver's slick back, and she saw blood. She'd hurt her nose, but she couldn't feel anything except the adrenaline flooding her. "Shove his foot off the gas, quick," Pat said. Priscilla held tight to the railing to vault down into the entrance well to get better angled on the driver's foot, leaning out of Pat's sight. To Pat's relief, the bus slowed at once. Yes, they were famous Houston sisters. They acted with one mind, at a demonstration or on a runaway bus. The driver's weight tugged against the steering wheel as he began his slow slump out of his seat, falling to the floor. Pat climbed behind the wheel as he fell to keep him in her grip. The bus was rolling to a stop at last, but how could she shift it into park? She had ridden Daddy Marion's bus with him many times, but this bus's dashboard display was a mystery to her. That one, Pat. Which? Pat's vision swam, and she was sorry she was wearing such dark glasses. Look where I'm pointing, that stick. There it was, miraculous, an obvious stick shift. The bus wasn't at a standstill, but Pat tugged on the stick with both hands to maneuver it into park. The gears whined and complained. As an afterthought, she stretched out her leg and planted her foot on the clutch. Hard, then the brake. After a last jolt that rattled her arms, the giant beast was still at last. Pat coughed as the bus filled with the smell of smoke and tire rubber. I think you broke it, girl, Priscilla murmured, but Pat barely heard her. She helped Priscilla tug on the driver to keep him from sliding down the stairs. Priscilla took his feet. They both grunted from strain as they laid him flat on the floor in the center aisle. His eyes were still wide open, and his cheeks looked as hollow as a cadaver's. His skin was webbed with red veins popping up so high that she could trace them by touch. His lips shook as he wheezed, hyperventilating. It's all right, Pat said, even though nothing was all right. He looked dead already. Up close, she saw that his eyes were green-blue. Rich was embroidered on his shirt. Mr. Rich, just calm down now. You're all right. We'll get help. Priscilla gave her a look. How the hell would we do that? His lips were mouthing words Pat could not hear, so she moved so close to him that his bone-dry lips grazed the lobe of her ear. His sour breath scalded her. Make him stop, he whispered. Make who stop? Pat started to say, but then went rigid. With her ear tilted close to Rich's face, she was facing the empty rows of seats behind her. For a time she had forgotten that she and Priscilla weren't alone with the driver, had thought that the rider had vanished. She had no memory of seeing him when she rushed to the front of the bus. But he was still there. He had just moved in a blink. A stench like rotting fish made Pat raise her head to look directly in the row behind the driver's seat where she herself had just climbed from to take control of the bus. The driver was sitting where he had not been a moment before, where she had been. What the? Priscilla said. Make him stop. Pat didn't have to ask who was inspiring Rich's terror, who was killing him slowly. Now that she was at the front of the bus, she saw what distance had hidden from her. She glimpsed his profile before she made herself look away, knowing instinctively that she must look away, but it was enough to see that his brown, gray face was not made of skin. His face was knotty wood with round gaps where his mouth and eyes should have been. What she had mistaken for clothing was a nest of leaves and debris, still damp from the swamp, fashioned like a hood, sewn to vines, as some part of her had already known. The bus driver had stopped for him, had let him in. Pat backed away so quickly that she stumbled into Priscilla, who huddled with her in the narrow stairwell. Priscilla was tugging on the stubborn door, but Pat could not make herself reach close enough to the rider for the lever, which looked miles away from where she stood. Pat did not cry often, but tears were seeping from her eyes now. She could not name what this thing was, but knowing of its existence ended the life she might have led, where a creature like this was confined to nightmares and conjure stories. And soon she and her sister might be choking and dying, just like the driver. Somehow cruelly, Rich was still awake, eyes still wide open. They're waiting up ahead, Rich said, his voice suddenly full and clear, although the static-like phasing quality had returned. The deputies called some of their friends to say you were coming on Route 6. They got plans for you, little missy. Ugly plans. Pat's ears rang. The voice came from Rich's lips, but it was as if it also came from the air itself, from the rider. It was Rich's voice, Rich's way of speaking. But that thing is making him say those things, making him tell the truth on himself because it likes the truth to be told. Priscilla's arm wrapped protectively around Pat's waist as they both pressed against the unyielding door. The door might not open for them even if they tried because it wants us to stay on the bus. It isn't finished with us. Pat felt ideas and knowledge that were not hers crowding her mind. She tried to shut out the thoughts because she believed sharing so much would bind her, but she did not want to die without understanding why. The racket of Cricket's song filled her ears, because it came from the swamp, and will return to the swamp. Its name called for generations by the swamp folk who fished, and lived, and died without notice of the law. Usually it sleeps until it's called, but the machines building the highway woke it up and ravaged its bed, and it won't sleep again until... Pat! Priscilla's voice was so strangled and scared that Pat was sure the creature had taken her. The sound of crickets vanished, and the bus suddenly flashed bright, despite her sunglasses. Her mind had been drifting somewhere just as she feared. Priscilla was pointing away from the creature toward the road ahead. Pat flung off her dark glasses so she could see whatever had wrested Priscilla's terror away from Ryder. 50 yards ahead, barely visible around the approaching bend, a pickup truck and 2 or 3 cars were blocking the road. White men flurried around the parked cars, and even from a distance Pat saw their sticks and shotguns, a dozen of them or more. Pat had imagined dying many times, but it was different to see the moment unfold through a bus windshield. No one was here to help them. In the swamp, they would just be 2 more hunted creatures, no different from the unlucky prey standing too close to a gator's jaws. "We need to turn this bus around," Priscilla said. But the road was too narrow. Built for horses and wagons, not for this monstrous machine. When the rider sent knowledge to her, Pat's temples tightened with a headache. It was prodding her, because you know what must happen now and you must be ready. Pat climbed the steps back up to the driver's seat. She summoned strength to reach the clutch with enough pressure to depress it. Then she yanked at the stick shift as her memory showed her the perfect image of Daddy Marion at the helm of his school bus, masterfully commanding the controls, crisp as a picture show. She had never shut off the engine. The bus was complaining as it idled, but the complaining stopped when she yanked the bus into gear. "You're turning around? Is there room?" Priscilla said. Pat shook her head. "Hang on tight." She gave Priscilla the glance she owed her. Without her dark glasses, she knew her sister would see everything she needed to learn written in her eyes. And Priscilla did see. Her face went slack with resignation and, yes, fear. Tears came to Priscilla's eyes, too. If there had been time, they would have hugged. Priscilla stepped over the gasping driver to sit in the seat across the aisle from the rider. Priscilla did not look at the creature so near her, holding tight to her railing with both hands. Bracing, they were always bracing. The devil himself could be riding with them, but the rider was no greater a devil than the ones waiting for them on the road ahead. The bus roared. Pat barely realized she had moved her foot from the brake to the gas, but she liked the feeling and pressed harder. Ahead, she could take in the full measure of what waited for them. The muddy tires, sunlight glaring from the shiny mirror, the knot of teenagers in the bed of the truck, the Confederate flag flying on the end of a Remington. Pat saw it all, just as it has been seen millennia, only calming when called by those who knew its name and made proper offerings. Until the last moment, the waiting hoodlums were certain the bus would stop, but they didn't know about the rider who rode both the bus and Pat's traumatized heart. It would have been sleeping still, but the machines building the highway woke it up and ravaged its bed, and it won't sleep again until it fulfills its purpose. Priscilla was reciting the Lord's Prayer with a quiet sob, but, with help from the rider, Pat did not feel her despair or fear. The grin widening her face was mostly not her own. Mostly. The stocky man closest to the windshield, almost a snapshot, turned to run only when he saw it was Pat, not Rich, who was driving the Greyhound bus on Route 6 that day. It won't sleep again until it fulfills its purpose, to protect innocents from harm. Screams rained across the swampland as the bus charged through the barrier on the road. Pat finally gathered the courage to look in her rearview mirror and saw the vehicles scattered like toys. She tried not to see the blood and broken bodies. When she ventured to glance over her shoulder, the seat behind her was empty. Her eyes snapped back to the rearview. The rider, behind the bus this time, was once again standing in the middle of the road. Pat would forget much about the rest of that day, but she drove until the bus heaved and gasped not far over the state line, and it rolled to a stop within sight of a bus station. By then, nothing could be done for Rich, whose heart had stopped beating long before. They left him where he had fallen from the driver's seat and hoped he would be blamed. The Negro schoolteacher with salt and pepper hair, who saw them hitchhiking and picked them up to drive them back toward Tallahassee, on State Route 27 this time, not Route 6, thought they were delightful company. Pat wasn't sure. No one had seen them leave the bus or recognized them until the news story bubbled into the Tallahassee Democrat 2 days later. Tragedy on Route 6, the headline said. According to the story, bus driver Rich McClellan was on his route to Montgomery when he had a heart attack and accidentally crashed into a barricade on a forgotten road called Route 6. Local citizens, the story said, had blocked the road because of rumors that a white woman had been raped by a Negro who might be riding the bus. False rumors, one of the survivors told the reporter. And all 6 people died on the road that day. The oldest, a supposed pastor, was 63. The youngest was 16. Pat doubted that any of them would have died if they hadn't had murder in their hearts. None of the survivors interviewed in the paper said they had seen 2 Negro women or that one of them had actually been driving. Maybe the rider had made them see what it wanted them to see. Other news stories that week showed plumes of smoke rising from bombed buses of Freedom Riders in Alabama. Negroes and whites were beaten within an inch of their lives or locked inside buses set afire. Miraculously, none of them had died. Pat knew it would have been no different for her and Priscilla, or much worse in the swamp, where no cameras would capture the violence for history. When classes started in the fall, Pat recognized the custodian on the campus and realized he was a law student named John Graham. He asked her to coffee, and she said yes. "It's a good thing you didn't go on that bus," he said, without irony, and Pat agreed. She noticed how handsome he was, how his hair curled over his brow. She'd agreed to have coffee with him in part because she was grieving and lonely after Priscilla's decision to leave the country. Priscilla had gone to Ghana at the invitation of post-independence President Nkrumah himself. In her first letter, she told Pat that every time she thought about returning to the States, her skin broke out in hives. Pat knew she could never leave the movement until Jim Crow was dead, but when she looked at John, she could imagine a future with a house on a canal bank and 3 little girls whose hair she would fix in pigtails and barrettes, far from smoke and blood. Maybe one day she would tell him about the rider and the truth about what had happened on Route 6. But she still wasn't sure if she had plowed through those cars on the road because the rider's curse or her own courage, and maybe she never would be. For the rest of her life, that question might lie behind in the shadows of her heart, the way her dark glasses would always shroud her eyes. The Aesthete by Justin C. Key. I asked my creator about the collector after my freshman year of high school. I spent my summers at her upstate New York home enjoying her vast garden, removed from the spectators who constantly streamed and commented on sensory data from my neural feed. I could soak up her wisdom without intrusion. My creator stopped to trim a hedge that didn't need trimming. Her garden was a circular labyrinth of zinnias, asters, pansies, and cosmos. Its middle held the prize, a long curving wall of meticulously curated, multicolored roses. Genetic modification didn't touch the garden. Was I her only creation? I never asked. You take interest in the collector, she said. Is it wrong to? She pocketed her shears and took my hands in hers. The comfort was immediate. Her dark brown skin matched mine in tone, not for the first time. I wondered if my reaction to her was scripted in my DNA. Not for the last time I wondered if it mattered. What have you heard? That he's a failed creator who terrorizes art he couldn't make. That he buys organs off the white market and sells to surgeons for VIP implants. Joey's parents told him it's a way for the government to dispose of faulty art. And what do you think? That he's just an excuse for evil. I don't think it's one person. Horrible people doing horrible things because they hate us, hate art. The collector gives it a name. Sounds morbid. Are you worried? I read the comments from my feed, I said. I picked up a wilted rose, freshly trimmed. I'm extraordinarily normal. We moved on from the wall of roses into a clearing centered with a circular patch of mixed flowers. Here, full in the day's light, I saw how much my creator had aged over the last 9 months. You'd rather I'd given you owl eyes, or how about an unhinged jaw? You heard about that poor kid that choked on a loaf of bread off a dare. That's art to somebody. Death is not art, my creator slowed. I had fallen behind in our walk. I kept the distance. We are all born nearly the same, and there are as many ways to die as there are people. Then what is art? You are, you fool. You are my art, and your own art, just from being observed. You are the art of the universe. Let's say there is a collector then. What would it want with me? All of you? You were anything but normal. She stopped at a yellow rose growing among a plot of sunflowers. In fresh bloom, its leaves turned toward the sun. My creator snipped it an inch into the stem and put it in her satchel. Luckily, he is just legend. Besides, the world is enough of a collector. Many years later. After passion came disconnect. It was the only way to survive. The woman beside me leaned over to silence her phone and then slid back into the covers. Good. Let the moment bask. Blips of magic in a dull existence. Dozing against the heaviness of her breathing, the thought of how nice this felt brought me fully awake. We met working an event. It was her skin that drew me, a dark brown like mine. The hue shifted with her mood. We quickly bonded over how normal we were compared to the other pieces of art. Though I was usually the one asking all the questions, she somehow got a life story out of me. I vividly remember her touching my hand and feeling a connection I hadn't felt since before my creator died. How we had ended up in her studio apartment, its one window overlooking a damp alley, I wasn't quite sure. Sasha, that was her name. Why did one evening together feel like a lifetime? Fragments of post-coital dreams floated to the surface. Children, happiness, foolish, dangerous illusions. Such thoughts never led to good places. It was time to go. I shifted to the edge of the bed. Short sunlight leaped around the edges of the heavy curtains. The day was underway. I tumbled into my jeans, the belt buckle clanged against the floor. Of all my creator's subtle edits, stealth was not one of them. Sasha stirred, then groaned. She glanced over with a disoriented surprise. She wiped her mouth and propped herself up. Her skin dulled. "You just fucking leave?" she said. "Yep, that's the plan." Typical. I expected vitriol, but this was disappointment. Most of my one-night stands were eager to dispose of me in the morning. She scrutinized me up and down, rolled over, and turned on her spectator app. 3 pings cut the air before she silenced notifications. I started broadcasting to my spectators as well. If this was going south anyways, best get paid for it. "At least stay for breakfast," Sasha said. "Perhaps your tongue performs better in conversation." "You got yours." "Did I?" I heard the smile in her voice. She was toying with me and succeeding. They always climaxed. I made sure of it. The skill was my own practice, no edits. I perfected it. Of course she fucking came. "Stay," she said, her smile bordering laughter. "We'll discuss it over breakfast." "Yeah, stay," one spectator commented. "It's been a while. There's more sex in my marriage," another scaled the bottom of my vision. I flicked off the comment reel. "I don't eat," I said. "You certainly made that clear last food. I don't eat food." She sat up, a non-carnal hunger in her gaze. "Photosynthesis?" "Yeah," I said, looking away. Good. She wasn't as smart as I thought. My artist could have given me taste buds at least. Most pieces of art had exceptional reflexes. My creator had other priorities. I didn't see the pillow careening toward my face. "The fuck?" I said. She laughed. Her skin darkened in joy. "I'm so fucking sorry. I thought you'd move. Seriously, what the fuck? Photosynthesis? Really? You think I'm stupid? If you don't want to have a meal, then just say that shit." She sat on the edge of the bed, her back to me, and quickly pulled on her shirt. I needed only a blip to store visual information, not a photographic memory. I had heard of pieces who had gone insane with such a gift. My creator gave me the ability to save the sensory signals themselves. Whenever I retrieved them, I relived the experience in the context of my current state. In other words, I had more than enough time to see the telltale sign between her third and fourth rib. I lingered unsure and fumbled with my clothes. She threw over her shoulder. "You're not looking for payment, are you?" $150. Wait, you came twice. $300. I sat on the opposite corner of the bed. "How long do you have?" "Observant for a piece." She smiled, the kind of smile that doesn't mean happiness. Her fingers went to her side as if to protect it from the world. "I'm hoping for a cure. Naive, huh?" "I don't think so," I said, tasting the lie. Scientists struggled not only to understand, but to also treat the cancer disastrously prevalent in this generation of POAs. Creators scrambled to push a narrative of hope to stave off complete unrest. What are you in the mood for? Don't do that. Don't take away the fun we had with some pity. I fall hard, fast, and easily. Art Lover 309 just commented that. "You seem to be well known, lover boy." "I used to be. It's amazing how many people will pay to see a train wreck in real time." "And now?" "I'm out before the sun rises. No gain, no pain. You might not be around for long, so I won't get attached." She considered me and shut off her spectators well before the minimum 10-minute increment to garner revenue. I turned off mine as well. I don't want a pity meal, and I just realized I'm too nervous to eat. The courts vote on Right to Live Act today. You been following? It's hard to get excited about rights we can't use. Speak for yourself. I plan to have kids one day, God willing. The ensuing silence stung. All POAs were born sterile. Anyone who thought differently was just fooling themselves. You're not a big fan of hope, I see, she said. You know what? No politics on the first date. Let's say dinner. Then you have an easy out. Gives me time to run you by my therapist. You going to talk to your therapist about me? Wow. Now I have to take you out to dinner. Stop, she shrugged. I like you. I don't know why yet. It's something I can't put my finger on. You feel it? I did, and before I could say so, she looked up at me, and that was enough. She stood and straightened her shirt. Meet here, whatever time, come find me. I'll be ready, or not. I won't hold it against you. So you met someone. Dr. Okoa leaned into her camera, blocking out the rose painting ever present in her background. I sat up and looked around a stalled subway train as if anyone cared. Protests and anticipation of the right to live decision clogged the city. All other passengers were buried in their devices. Likely half were on their own therapy sessions, and the other half were tuned in as spectators living vicariously in the world of art. 4 so far observed my session with Dr. Okoa. Regular broadcast was a mandatory part of our therapy agreement. How did you know? I said. You just told me. Dr. Okoa smiled. Light wrinkles curved around her mouth. Aren't you glad you went? Yeah, you were right. It was a nice venue. Wait, did you set us up? That would be crossing a line, even for me. Tell me about her. Them. She's art like me. Her skin is beautiful. You should see it. Sounds like you like her. I do, but she has cancer. Oh, she shared that with you? She has the port right in her side. I've seen enough of them to know. She thinks she's got it beat. I leaned back and searched the off-white ceiling for answers. My creator taught me to be more realistic. Maybe her creator taught her some hope. When I said nothing, Dr. Okoa continued. That's quite a first date. What are you thinking? Too much baggage? Less of a commitment? I love Dr. Okoa, came scrolling comment. Almost makes me want to go back into therapy. Almost. I laughed. That's what I told her, that at least I know it'll be short term. I thought about bringing up the dream, the one with the family, but decided against it. A little love and loss may be good for you, and I'll be here to help work out the pesky emotions. I saved a memory of her against my better judgment. Her face? No, thank God. Dr. Okoa nodded in a way that implied she was thanking God, too. Our 8 years of therapy, brought on by my creator's sudden death, included navigating several difficult relationships. My spectators had plummeted since I chose to focus on myself, and I was surprised Dr. Okoa kept me on. Speaking of love, you see they came out with a verdict? Seems I'm the only one who hasn't been paying attention. It's a big deal. The courts knocked it down. There will probably be appeals, but it's not looking good. Right to live. I read the kid they're fighting for won't even be able to feed himself? What's the end goal? So that creators can turn human reproduction into another display, just another thing to make money? That's sad. He's too far gone. You should have the right to have kids. Art needs to be regulated like everything else, a longtime spectator commented. I swear, we'll engineer our own extinction wrapped in a bow if it'll make some money. Hashtag right to be human. A first step is a first step, Dr. Okoa said. That's what Sasha said. I like her already. So, I said, happy to change the subject. Should I see her again? I closed the link a few minutes out from the venue. The tram passed over a crowd of protesters, spilling into an intersection. A headline scrolled over their heads. SCOTUS throws out right to live act. Hansel, first ever art-born baby to be taken off life support. Fate of art-based reproduction hangs in balance. I turned off the enhanced view as a piece of art. I wasn't allowed to protest. Even Hansel's parents couldn't speak publicly. The privilege of voice lay with our allies. My pod broke off from the tram, descended to ground level, turned down a small street, and dropped me at the venue. Back alley entrance, one-story building on the outskirts of town. A small event. Money to be made, but with some effort. This is a private affair, the security woman said, standing 8 feet tall. She had sunset braids long enough to wrap around her waist. I know. I'm working it. She looked me over. I was different. I was older than most POAs and lacked the telltale signs of genetic modification. At the same time, if I was trying to get one over on her, I was doing a terrible job. She decided to check my ID without much fuss. Your spectator app is out of date, she said. Her voice melted to a soothing velvet. She shrunk a half a foot. Her eyes went from blue to soft brown. You should get it updated. With that Hansel case, they've been a lot of neuroattacks from right to be human extremists. You have to turn it off to enter for security reasons. If I had people watching, I wouldn't need to be here. Once inside, I floated the perimeter, some type of fundraiser for a politician. I started working the circuit after estate lawyers blocked my creator's unorthodox will, and my personal spectator money dried up. I kept my head low, observant, a non-binary POA, 4 feet tall in heels, serenaded a tight group with otherworldly vocals. A POA man wearing only a thin cloth over his privates showed off the chameleon quality of his skin. A wheelchair-using POA briefly removed her oxygen mask to sip a carbonated drink. She then twisted her elbow back over her head. Surely her elastic ligaments filled her youth with wealthy eager spectators, but every modification had its costs. I found a middle-aged spectator looking at best comfortable and, at worst, disinterested standing by the hors d'oeuvres. He wore his casual richness like a coat. My creator described this type of man as the first customers for genetically engineered humans. Some wanted the experience of being a single father. Others wanted other pair of trainable bands and hands. You look bored, I said. Slight amusement. What was my trick? What fringe part of human anatomy did I have to offer? His engagement with this anticipation lowered his guard to the power of conversation. He told me much more than I wanted to know. After making his fortune on a DNA-based dating app, he spent his early retirement exploring the Earth's outer orbit with his private spaceship. He dabbled in creation and almost lost his fortune after his botched attempt at art died by suicide at the age of 9. Much earlier, when my spectator was 12, he would watch his mother undress through a crack in the door. It was in the retelling of this piece that he took my hand. Your skin, it's magnificent. And your hair. I stilled his hand. The few spectators who paid enough attention were always fascinated by the two. Dark umber that shifted with the room's light, tight curls that hugged my head, adopted to a white family who wanted an ethnic addition. I grew up thinking these attributes were unique to POAs. My genetically engineered classmates, all shades of brown, also had vanilla parents with straight hair. Imagine my shock when I saw just a little more of the world. Resentment followed. I wasn't black, I wasn't white either. Some regarded my skin, my very DNA, as a type of appropriation. Western culture hadn't only conquered my skin, in its eyes it had perfected it. The billionaire asked me to the back rooms without actually asking. I declined. He went alone. I drifted, a storyteller, entertained an intimate crowd. Her name tag said she originated from Quantum Lane. I'd heard of their rise and fall from my creator, who made sure I was well educated, and the fall from the creator, who made sure I was well educated on the art-related failures my schooling didn't bother to teach. Quantum's 20-year promise to rear the world's next great generation of storytellers was one they ultimately couldn't keep. The funds dried up well before their progeny reached puberty. Without contracts, the POAs were left to navigate the world on their own. Despite missing much of the story, I didn't feel lost. A love story, woven with many characters, bodies, blood, and lust, centered on two who found each other in an unfit world. I wiped my eyes, suddenly aware of my emotions. The fear, the passion, the warmth, the false promise of comfort, of the future. Thunderous applause broke my mental dam to these emotions. I tilted off balance, physically steadied myself on a nearby counter, and mentally fell into her memory. The flicker of her skin in conversation with the tone of her voice, the chill morning air, the fading smell of lust-spent passion. Colors popped and blended and overlapped the gray interior. The storyteller now sat on the edge of Sasha's bed, her back to me. I noticed the light line of stitches between her ribs and wondered again how long she had. The spectators around her applauded. She's not waiting for death, the billionaire returned from pleasing himself, his top button undone, his hair slightly disarrayed, stood back beside me. They turned away as Sasha had. A ragged-edged red spot appeared on his right side. The blood shone clear even through his black shirt. She just wants a chance at life. I bit my tongue. Sharp pain ripped through the illusion. Sasha's room fell away. The story finished. The spectators all looked at me. She wants kids. She'll make another Hansel, one said. She's naive, said another. That cancer will tear her apart. The goal is to cure, right? Right? I made for the exit. I didn't stop for the woman who had checked me in, didn't care about the stairs. I slowed only when I was far enough away that the venue and its visions were only memories. I had walked another block, found an alley, opened my mobile, and called my psychiatrist. Dr. Akoa didn't answer. I tried again, nothing. I'll be your psychiatrist. I thought I'd close that damn app. I responded, fuck you, and logged off. I arrived disgustingly early for dinner. I scrolled through the building's directory. Sasha. I didn't know her last name. There was no search. What use were the intricate, intimate details stored in my cortex if I couldn't even remember if she was on the 4th floor or 5th? Lost? The woman exiting the building eyed me with amused caution. Her thin neck and dilated nostrils left little to speculation. A piece of art, high art, and she knew it. Her lips barely moved when she spoke, giving the illusion of telepathy. These once popular variants, dubbed the Liths, were beautiful in their youth, but the strain of their biology lengthened with age. I put her in her early 30s, in that transition from bliss to desperately clinging on to mortality. I'm here to see a friend, I said. She cocked her head. Who's your artist? That's a little personal, isn't it? She shrugged, her interest lost. I shifted to holding the door open as she fell away. To some. Have a good one. You too. But she was already gone. I called for the elevator, paced a bit, and then took the stairs. Bits of the night came back to me. We'd also taken the long way up to Sasha's apartment because of the lazy elevator. I remember the cold of the banister I gripped as her body leaned into mine. I remembered her excitement and my own. These memories took me up to her floor, but I couldn't enjoy them, not fully. The venue experience continued to cloud my mind. I'd gone over what happened there many times in that last hour. The distinction wasn't in the biology, but rather in the anatomy. Hallucinations were uncontrolled, unwelcome, and ultimately a warning. Hack? Your spectator app is out of date. I had nothing worth taking. Some kind of tumor? I was so caught in these thoughts that I nearly walked right into Sasha's apartment, and I could have. Her door was slightly open. I checked my sensorium. Present reality. I looked down the long, quiet hallway, dimly lit beyond darkness, but not empty. Sasha? A silhouette etched in the dark. I blinked, leaned closer, just my imagination. I stepped inside Sasha's unit. Soft evening lights oversaw, stone still dining and living rooms. Water dripped from the few dishes in the sink. I called her name. Nothing. Complete silence. Her bedroom seemed untouched since that morning. I pulled back the covers, feeling foolish. Sasha wasn't home. She could have stepped outside to the store and accidentally left the door open, or she could be in the bathroom. There were probably rational explanations, and yet... There, tucked under the pillow, was a letter. The space inside my chest shrunk. I couldn't help but laugh. I turned on my spectator. Hundreds more followers than before. She ghosted me, I posted. I could almost see the words as I unfolded the handwritten note, but as I read what was actually there, I looked around, suddenly aware of how vulnerable I was. The bathroom door slightly ajar with darkness beyond. Under the bed, in the closet, the note read, Sasha's with me now. Collector. My spectator beeped. I yelped, started, and nearly lost my balance. I ducked back out of the unit and into the complex hallway. The silhouette was back. This time, I couldn't blink it away. Sasha? I leaned closer. The silhouette expanded to fill the empty space. A foul wind of cursed memories and regret clogged my senses. The silhouette floated closer. I left as fast as I could. I collected myself before entering my own complex across town. Once upstairs, I checked every room and closet, locked the doors, and secured the windows. During my shower, I replayed Sasha's room, comparing the scene between the morning and the afternoon, looking for differences, looking for clues. Not everything was the same as I had first observed. That morning, a blue hoodie jacket with its single word "Beholder" on the back hung neatly off her bedroom door. Later, it was gone. I knew what she was wearing, at least. I studied the note from the relative safety of my bed. The sheets cleared my thoughts. Sasha was fucking with me. That had been her in the shadows. I'd left before she could come out and have her laugh. A notification sang. Reluctantly, I opened the app. There was a single message from Aesthetic 1-1, a lifelong spectator who had witnessed my birth. For all I knew, Aesthetic 1-1 had seen more of me than anyone, and had never sent a message, never liked a moment until now. A link to a news article. I clicked on it. White market buzzing with POA organs. What this means for creators and their creations. Another link came through, this one to download Palm, an app that connected specialty doctors to POAs. I'd heard of it as a last resort for POAs desperate for money or desperate for a cure. Why did you send me these? I typed. An indicator told me that whoever was on the other side read it. Then nothing. They signed off. My mobile vibrating against the wood jolted me out of sleep. I answered the call. Hey, it's Dr. Okoa. Just checking in about our session right now. Session? What time was it? Mid-morning? From the slant of the light through the blinds, Things began to click. 100 spectators waiting for us to start. I was late. Odd there were so many. I let the comet scroll against the ceiling as I turned onto my back. Is now still a good time? Yeah. I propped myself up on one arm and massaged sleep out of my eyes. Yeah, just give me a second. I'll log on. I paused halfway off the bed. And there on the opposite side, where I slept, was an indentation in the mattress. I examined it with caution, as if I might disturb whatever memory lingered there. The incision in her side, it spoke. Do you see this? I asked out loud. The bed? This POA's high AF right now. I think he's doing a flashback of that girl, no? I can't see her. Trying to ignore it, I settled into my therapy corner and expanded my movement. Just a second, closing out some stuff. Take your time, Dr. Okoa said. I minimized the white market article still open in the background, but paused on my pending request on phone. I hovered over the button, sent the message off to a cohort of doctors, and closed that too. Dr. Okoa's smiling face came into view. I missed your call yesterday. I'm sorry. I was in with another patient. It was about the person I met, but something has happened since then. I'm all ears. I relayed the details of the night before. Dr. Okoa, even after all these years, gave me her full attention. I could almost forget the transactional nature of our relationship, almost. She paid to be my therapist. A portion of the service fee went to my creator's estate. There had been a whole generation of mass-produced art utilized for medical experimentation. The increased metabolism and expanded cellular regenerative properties likely contributed to the high incidence of cancer. The novelty of being able to treat POAs was lost on me. She was gone. I stopped short of telling her about the note, contemplated, then sat back. You think she ghosted you? I don't know, I hope not. No, I don't think so. I think she wants me to come after her. Past Dr. Okoa, past the mobile, the divot in the bed deepened. I scooched the screen to block it. She wants to be pursued, or do you need to pursue? I'm always in pursuit, but this time's different. I could really get hurt. I didn't hear Dr. Okoa's next words. The divot in the bed had somehow expanded to once again reach my vision. I jumped up, knocked over my mobile, and crossed the room in 2 long strides. I touched the bed, firm, cold, empty, of course. I froze, held my air, breathing faint, undeniable, not my own. A soft rattle at the end. The very beginning of labor. My skin warmed to the heat of sex and passion and then prickled at the unpleasant scent of coconut conditioner. I hated coconut. I would have noticed it on Sasha, right? Her breath on my neck. I whirled around. No one was there. Back to the bed, there on the edge, to the right of the divot, a spot of blood. I touched it. Still wet. Still warm. The feeling lingered. I expected it to fade, and it didn't. I couldn't inventory my thoughts. That edit was banned before my creation. The line of POAs given the ability to catalog their thoughts, emotions, and memories like computer files all died of brain tumors before hitting puberty. But I could differentiate stored sensory retrieval versus current interaction with environment. This vision registered as real. The warmth of Sasha's body reached up through my mattress and into my still hand. I yanked it away, stumbled backward, and rolled my ankle against the table. Shit! Fuck! You okay? Asked Dr. Okoa. What's going on? The divot gone, the heat gone, the smell of her gone. I settled into my chair, took 2 breaths, remounted my mobile, and slid back into therapy. You're hallucinating, aren't you? Dr. Okoa said in the bottom left of the screen. I saw what she saw. I looked like shit. Possibly. When's the last time you had a neural update? Too long ago, apparently. Spectator stats scrolled my vision. Hundreds watched, hundreds judged. I shut it all off. Dr. Okoa shifted her chair uneasily. You should have told me you wanted a private session. I want all of them to be private. What is want for a piece of ass? I got to the meat of it before the silence could become uncomfortable enough for Dr. Okoa to fill it with the reminder of how much she disliked me using that phrase. I have a good reason. What's on your mind? Tell me, have you heard of the collector? Well, boys and girls, it appears it is the end of our time together this evening. Thank you so much once again for hanging out with me tonight. It was my pleasure hanging out and hopefully entertaining you. Thank you to all my friends out there wherever you may be listening Beyond The Omniverse tonight. I had a wonderful time and I can't wait to do it again. Hopefully tomorrow night. If not, I'm hoping sometime between now and Saturday. I hope to do at least one, hopefully 2 shows before Saturday. Still working on it. Got a lot of stuff to do. We'll see what happens. Don't forget, we are all in this together. Together, we can make the world better, and together, my friends, we are Paradox Media, because without you, there is no us. If you have the means, ability, or initiative, if you believe in what I'm doing here, or you just enjoy hanging out with me on the airwaves, please feel free to sling or fling some green my way, and it would really help me keep this mothership afloat. Places you can donate are by mail at P.O. Box 663, Bayfield, Colorado 81122, Cash App at $TessaTNT, PayPal at TessaTNT, and Venmo at Tessa-Thomas-Peterson. Nighty-night, love and light, take care of my ears, and I will see you back here. Same crazy time, same crazy place. Sweet dreams.